game wouldn't let the players play their super broken sand homebrew race. So everybody got mad. They started brawling each other. You know, a table was flipped. The bear ate somebody. It was a bad time. Session was canceled. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Percy Glacksmith. Once again, coming at you.
Matt, I'm gonna fucking strangle you. I'm gonna strangle you.
Are you saying that I can't play that really cool Quincy race that I found on Homebrew D&D?
The one that does 2d12 fucking force damage every time you take, you know, a 30-foot movement speed? No. Absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah, that's rude.
I like how Mash is up here making things up. All right, I have multiple complaints here. First of all, it's Percy Glaxon. It's not that hard.
Look at me.
Second of all,
now.
These opening bits are getting too long. Stop it.
No, that's the new bit. We're just gonna make them
funny. It's not funny
to us.
It's not. I'm over here annoyed.
It's funny to me and Matt. That's all.
Unfortunate.
No. Hey, I'm the third wheel. No, wait a minute. I'm the other third of this scenario. It doesn't matter that only your opinions.
Anyways,
when
I'm here
when you're
once
hosting,
again.
Your opinion matters.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
I'm here with Josh.
I am here.
And Isaiah.
I am also here. Here to make Josh angry, that is.
Everyone makes me angry.
And
that's my secret cap.
Not that I guess if you couldn't tell from the opening nonsense. We're talking about racism. Or lineage. Or heritage. Or species. Or whatever the fuck you want to call.
We're just gonna zoom by like he didn't just say what he just said. We should not gonna stop this madness.
No, that's gonna be the that's the thumbnail.
Just completely ignored me.
That's crazy.
No, I didn't.
That's out of pocket.
I didn't ignore you. I just was like, yes, because we're gonna be racist today.
I just shout racism, and Matt just breezes by that statement. That was great, Matt. I like. That was very professional of you to just keep going.
Yeah,
you're welcome. I try.
That was.
But yeah, we're gonna be racist today, guys.
All right, hold on.
Yep.
What word are we gonna use?
I'm just gonna say race because it's easy. It's the shortest word. It's easy to say.
All right, so Matt's a white supremacist, racist. Got it.
Sure.
Isaiah, what word are we going with?
I'm gonna flip flop. I know I am. So we'll find out. So I'm gonna try to be like, tactful and say lineage, but I know I'm gonna fuck it up. So then I'm at some point.
Well, lineage isn't even the one people have been using.
Well, actually, so that's the one that Wizards is now trying to use for most of their new races coming forward, like after Mordenkainen's
No,
multiverse.
they swapped to species.
Well, for one D&D's nuts, yeah, it's going to be species. But currently, like, from Mordenkainen's, it's now everything is lineage. Like, if you look at all the updated races from that book, they're all called lineage, like Kobold lineage, Furbolg lineage, Eladrin lineage.
Isn't lineage replacing like sub-race?
So that's what I thought it was. I thought lineage was like the Dampier and the Reborn, where it's like you're replacing your... But now Wizards is just like, no, now we're calling all races lineage. Chuck Testa, actually, we're calling them species in the next edition, but for now they're lineage. And it's like, make up your fucking mind.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm also not going to do the research right now.
I've done it.
Let it be known, however, I think ancestry is the best one.
Ancestry is pretty good. I actually like
I like
heritage.
Heritage ain't
Pathfinder, and I guess
Pathfinder uses ancestry.
I thought they used heritage.
So Pathfinder ancestry is your what species you are, and then heritage is the cultural background of said species.
Oh, okay. And I know Daggerheart, they're also using the term heritage, but they're also kind of breaking it up as your heritage is your main race, and then I think it's your ancestry and community is your sub race.
Yeah, like culture or whatever.
Yeah. So
I think I like.
I don't really have an opinion.
I like ancestry. That one sound.
Although
that one makes
that
sense.
one is pretty. Yeah.
I did like. I said it doesn't have an opinion. Actually, it's opinion. I like Origin.
Origin's pretty good too. Yeah.
Origin, I think the only reason people don't like to use Origin is because it's a little open-ended. Like, it's a little vague in terms of what it means specifically.
I can see someone confusing it with like your background.
Right,
like,
it could kind of mean a background or
species is.
Or Origin could
is.
imply like where you're from but then that doesn't necessarily tell anything about the biology part of it.
So I do like it too.
I think the missed opportunity, right, when they use species, why didn't they just use genealogy?
That rolls up. Species already doesn't really roll off the tongue. Genealogy rolls off the tongue even less.
I need my words to sound fancy,
like
sir.
A perfect sort of fantasy sounding, but like still trying to be scientific.
Isaiah, everybody complained about species sounding too sci-fi. You don't think people are going to say genealogy sounds too sci-fi?
It does.
No, not at all. But I'm also
I'm
like
complaining.
I think it's I think that one's too sci-fi, which is saying something.
I don't know. I'm definitely biased because of Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War, and I think it worked just fine there. So I don't see why it couldn't work across the board.
Yeah, uses Fire Emblem as his litmus test for all things. See,
pretty much, it is a great fantasy. It's better than using fucking Tolkien.
What do you mean?
Not better,
you got
it's more original than using Tolkien.
And your dwarves and your elves and your hobbits and
so you don't typically you don't have fantasy races in Fire Emblem to be like your insert this thing here. You have the like beastkin, so you have like cat people and dog people and bird people and I don't mean pause because you might be like, oh, person with like dog ears. No, I mean a person who turns into a whole ass dragon just as a thing that they can do, like a 60 like you tiny 4'9" young boy turns to a 60-foot like tall dragon.
Nice. That's cool.
You got tall, you got the 6'5" dude turn into a fucking bunny the size of a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
I think genealogy works, and I'm gonna stick with my bias on Fire Emblem.
You can stick with your bias. Ain't no way in hell people would accept that one.
I mean, I think it's less science-y sounding than species, because everyone said species sounded way too like
sci-fi,
sterile. Sci-fi, yes, but it was like a really like there was no. Yeah, it does sound kind of sterile, like no.
For me, it's I in it more towards like animals. Like you're talking about the species of things.
Well, genealogy sounds like I'm a biologist studying, the genealogy of how this animal evolved from this animal to become this thing. Like that makes me think of like actual science.
It's I don't know. To me, it's the like old worldly. It's something that Volo would say. I think that's it. I can imagine Volo being like, yes, well, your genealogy, you're part elf, part person, or not person, part human. That sounded really bad.
That's the first racism of the day, baby. Let's go.
That's the first one of the day. Yeah, look, there's no way we're not going to get to this episode without
doing a racism. Yeah,
doing a very accidental racism.
Disclaimer: we are not actual racists. These are all imaginary, fictional beings.
Yeah, I mean, we are.
Please don't actually cancel us. I know it's in the title.
I mean, I think.
I mean, Drow are actually Australian, though.
True.
Yes. Yep.
You come from London. Anyways, so gentlemen,
obviously, no real disclaimer, but like anything we say in this episode is a joke.
Can and will be used against us in a court of law.
Yeah, it can and will be, but you need to understand that it's a joke. It's meant as a joke.
I'm not making any jokes.
Oh, I'm gonna be making plenty of jokes.
I'm not making jokes. I'm so serious. I am an actual white supremacist.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, you're
first.
absolutely getting canceled.
Get him.
That's funny because me, hi, mixed race. Wave to the camera.
What? You're not white.
Oh, get him.
No, I'm Puerto Rican. Thank you very much.
Shit. I didn't realize. Never mind. I'm not going to take this joke farther. Never mind.
For the best.
No, I'm going to drop it there.
I'm gonna pull Matt, bury my head in the sand, say genealogy. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. So because mostly this is going to be, I mean, we can kind of branch off into other like games and stuff because I am interested in seeing like, I know Pathfinder takes races and stuff or ancestries, and like you level up, you get different abilities, which is cool. But like, just for context right now for 5e, and then we can break off. What do you guys? What's your favorite race? Like, what do you like? What do you like about it?
This is a boring question. Next question.
Wow. Why are you so rude? Actually, anyways, Josh, since you want to volunteer first, quick thing. What can the listeners do when listening to this podcast? They can like or
subscribe. They can follow or subscribe on their podcast platform of choice, or share us with a friend.
Hell yeah, brother. And on that note, what's your favorite race, Josh? What do you like?
I don't have one. That's a lie. It's kobolds.
I was about to say.
Don't you dare bold-face lie to the camera like that. You know it's fucking kobold. I was about to say, you know it's fucking kobold.
I genuinely for a minute was like, I don't have a favorite race, and then thought about it for another half a second and went, yeah, that's a lie. Never mind.
Yeah. Oh, kobolds are good. What?
And I will not extrapolate.
What about kobold?
No.
Oh.
You don't need it.
Why not?
They are just the best. I need no other explanation or justification.
Well, what is it to you specifically? Like that's why I'm interested.
They're just kobold ass. Look, Matt, they're just funny little guys. They're just funny little dragon guys who have. They're just like little balls of razor blades with a Napoleon complex and a penchant for stealing things. And I don't know. They're just funny little dragon guys. I like dragons. It's funny when you make dragon little.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really have an answer why I like kobolds so much. I just do.
No, it's all good. That's why I was just curious, like, because
I don't know.
There's always like there's got to be some bottom the line reason of like why you
there's
like
probably some
thing.
deep-seated childhood trauma related to it. Yeah, but I can't think of anything right now.
Oh, nothing like that. I meant like, it could be like, I mean, you like dragons. You like small dragon. It's funny.
He's thinking about the time where a bunch of really tiny lizard men beat him up when he was in school.
Yeah.
And then they disappeared they all jumped into a trench coat and disappeared into the night.
They stole my dog too. It was crazy.
They did steal his dog.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the Volo's Guide to Monsters kobolds, or do you prefer the Mordenkainen multiverse kobolds?
Say both.
Sure.
I just thought of kobolds beating you up and trying to steal Abel, the massive Garzo, and then just jumping on his back and riding him away.
They probably would, yeah, because he's probably, he's too heavy for them to pick up, so.
Yeah,
Here are mighty war
he's also a
dogs.
Cade Corso, so they're just going to jump on his back and go, away! And they're just going to run into the night.
And then Abel would be like, okay, I guess.
Oh my god.
Kobold, for audience reference, I have an Italian Mastiff. He's 120 pounds. He's a big boy. Kobolds would have a very hard time scooping him up. Yeah, so I really love pack tactics, and I think Grovel, Cower, and Beg is hilarious and on brand.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like them getting the draconic abilities. Yeah. And I do like that they get the craftiness ability from Mordenkainen's Presents, because it lets them choose Arcana, Investigation, Medicine, Sleight of Hand, or Survival as a proficiency. I think that is very fun because I do like the craftiness of kobolds. That is a part of it. I think it's very fun. They also have advantage on saving throws against the Frightened condition, which I think is kind of interesting. Because, they're mighty dragons. Oh, I forgot about the Draconic Cry. As a bonus action, you let out a cry at your enemies within 10 feet of you. Until the start of your next turn, you and allies have advantage on attack rolls against any enemies who could hear you. Use this trait a number of times you could...
It's a Grovel, Cower, Beg, but
better, actually.
But
I actually like that one better. All right, never mind. Yeah, actually, the Mordenkainen ones are cooler. The only thing you're really missing out on is pack tactics, which...
And superior dark vision, which
save that
for later.
No. So they didn't get superior dark vision, but they did get sunlight sensitivity.
Oh, they don't. Oh,
they don't get superior dark vision.
I'm
they
mixing
never
them
did.
up with. Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I know that they took sunlight sensitivity away because it's kind of just, a lot of people find it annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you should have left it in there. Just for the sake of the flavor. It is kind of annoying.
Mimicry.
Huh?
Same thing with Kenku and the mimicry.
Yeah, like it can be annoying.
Is it not in the new version?
No. Well, their lore still talks about the mimicry thing, but it's not like in their race stat block thing.
It just assumes that they've done that thing where they've mimicked enough to where they can just speak normally.
They basically collected so many voices they could just talk. Like, I get it. Look, the thing is, again, and I've said this a million times, right? It's a tabletop game. We can just change the rules whenever the fuck we want and however the fuck we want. So having things like sunlight sensitivity and the mimicry in there, I think are fine because they just tell us about the flavor of the setting. And if people are annoyed about it, they can just ignore it. Like, I don't think we gain anything by taking it away. I think we only lose in this particular scenario. So I'm a little annoyed, even though I'm literally saying, like, taking sunlight sensitivity was a direct buff to kobolds, and I'm saying no, take the buff away. Like, it's not even about like it being good or bad. I just want that like interesting. It adds to the setting and stuff. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I was annoyed about it. They did it with Drow too. I thought that was dumb too. You know, granted, I played a Kobold in Descent into Avernus where there was no sun. So, you know, wasn't really a concern.
That's the thing everyone forgets. Where it's like most of the time you're going to be dungeon delve. Well,
yeah, that's
in most campaigns you dungeon delve. Like,
or at the very least, you go to places other than just the outside. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you go into ruins, or you go into the deep, dark woods, or you know, there's lots of places where the sunlight thing would basically be ignored. You're inside all the time. You know, you're in like buildings. You know, in the words of Matt Colville, it's called Dungeons and Dragons, not Sunny Fields and Dragons.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm annoyed about it. But otherwise, yes, I actually looking over it again because I haven't looked at it in a while. I do like the Mordenkainen presents kobolds better. I think there is more fun. I also like that they leaned into the dragon thing a little more.
Yeah.
The dragons. The little dragons.
That you can't have all three of the Kobold Legacy things. You have to pick one of them. Kind of stinks.
Right. I did forget about that. They're still fun though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably take the Draconic Sorcery one, but yeah.
What about you, Isaiah? What's your favorite race? What ruffles your jam?
I'm sort of caught between two.
Isaiah's favorite race isn't playable. It's gnolls.
They're not my favorite, honestly, but I do love gnolls.
I would love a playable gnoll race.
I would too.
They're just giggly boys.
I don't know how you would justify a playable gnoll race, but I do love the idea.
So
they literally have one in the DMG.
There's is it in the DMG?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, strength +2, int -2, which...
Oh, that's for building an NPC, though. That's not really like a...
Look, 5e Tool shows it in the races section for players. So
really?
Like, yeah.
Right. I mean, it is basically the same thing.
Yeah, true.
They have a bite, which is only a D4. It should be a D8, in my opinion. And then Rampage, which is one of my favorite things, is if you drop a creature to 0 hit points with a melee attack, you can move. You can use your bonus, move up to half your speed, and bite somebody or attack them.
Yeah, I think they were a race in older, like either 4th edition or 3rd edition. I don't remember.
Probably
which.
4E had so much so many races. It's just so many ancestries.
I have a book from Keith Baker on like an Eberron expansion for like, if you want more Eberron shit, 5e and from the actual author. And he put playable
gnolls. Well, because gnolls are like dudes. They're like dudes McGuys in Eberron, right? They're not like they're not explicitly evil demon dudes.
Yeah,
demon
and
monsters.
now I think they're because I think before that they were either humanoid or monstrosities in the older books. Now they're like, I think they're demons in Mordenkainen.
I don't know.
Because it's like it does make sense to me, because it's like on the one hand you're like, oh fucking what's his face?
They are humanoid.
Yanogo.
They are humanoid gnoll.
Yeah, so that's the Monster Manual humanoid gnoll, and then if you look at Mordenkainen, it's never mind. Mordenkainen, they're monstrosities now.
That doesn't.
Which that makes sense.
Does it?
Because monstrosities are like, you take another creature and you mutate it. You watched the scene from Baldur's Gate where the gnoll popped out of the hyena.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
That's kind of a monstrosity. That's not really humanoid.
Sorta, but I always thought
they should be fiends.
Okay, hold on.
I can see both.
Well, okay, wait. Two things.
Yeah,
One, I always saw monstrosities as like evil science experiments.
Both, yeah.
So I feel like monstrosity is a little weird. But what if I told you they're all three?
It could be.
So the default gnoll in the monster manual is a humanoid (null). The gnoll Fang of Yennegu is a fiend. The Flind is a fiend. The gnoll Fleshnar, not Gnawer, is a monstrosity. The gnoll Hunter is a monstrosity. The gnoll Packlord is a humanoid. The gnoll Vampire is an undead. And the gnoll Witherling is an undead. So there's 4 different kinds of gnolls. 2 of them are fiends, 2 of them are monstrosities, and 2 of them are humanoids.
God damn it.
That's a little confusing. I feel like maybe just pick one.
Yeah.
So my actual favorite race, or favorite races, 2 of them, are forest gnomes and changelings.
Okay. Forest
gnomes because so there's some lore about Isaiah. Isaiah is very tall and very broad. I'm sort of built like a tree trunk, you know? And I miss the days when I was a wee lad and I was really tiny and I had to look up at everything. I could climb all over everything. I just like playing small races because I'm a big dude, basically.
Okay.
While I could gravitate to like again, Lalafell, just like they're tiny and adorable. I love them.
Potatoes.
It's also really funny when a really small race is like a barbarian, and you know they can fell a tree in one swipe, and you're like, how did so much meat get packed in such a tiny thing? Like it's like in 14 how the gnome equivalent are the Lalafell. Matt, you don't know this, but they're actually just crazy strong. They're
very dense.
They're very dense. They throw each other into trees to get fruit.
Yeah.
So and they can jump about 7 feet in the air.
They live in tropical areas and they can't reach the fruit, so they throw each other fastball special style to get the fruit.
That's cool.
Yeah. They're a little dense. I believe that's also the justification for how they could be like warriors and shit.
Yeah, they just have such ridiculously dense muscle mass.
Yeah. Lalafells.
I love them.
Lalafells are really funny because anytime anybody looks up 14 and sees a picture of the Lalafell, they're like, this looks like a race of children. This is weird. And you're like, it is a little weird, but then you look up their lore and they're actually wild little motherfuckers. Like,
yes, they are just prone to violence. They're just ready to throw down.
They're ready to throw down.
Second.
They all have Napoleon complexes. They're incredibly intelligent. They also are like ruthless business people, like just capitalist animals, and down to fuck.
Yeah, they are. It's weird to say they are pound for pound the strongest and smartest race in 14. Yeah. And I really like pound for pound because, you know, most of them weigh sub 30 pounds. But considering that they can punch a hole in a man's chest, yeah, pound for pound, ridiculously strong and smart.
The 12 had to nerf them by making them smaller.
Yes. If they were the size of everyone else, they would be monsters.
They're kind of weird. That being said, the bunny people are also is like insanely strong. So, you know, there's a lot of weird. There's some, you know, there's some wackiness going on with the 14s. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bunny boy supremacy.
Because they're small and adorable. And pack a punch. And I like changelings because they let me live out my truest. I don't like labels. I can be whatever I want to be.
Fuck you, I do what I want.
Yeah, they also. So I don't remember what lore this is, but changelings had a really cool lore at one point where changelings, when they're born and when they're young, don't know how to act. Like, they don't know how to be people. They don't really have emotions. So they mimic people, basically, right? They'll, like, if a dude is drunk at a bar, they'll change into that person and sort of throw shit around. And they don't really know why they're doing it. They just know that this person was very, like, you know, they could go like, oh, that person is angry, but they don't really know what angry is like because they never felt it. They are literally blank slates when they're young. And it only takes, it gets to a point where they can sort of facsimile things based on their experiences, but it's never quite right. Like, they might get really mad on outwardly at like a minor thing because they're like, oh wait, I'm supposed to get really mad now. Or they, like, someone might tell a kind of funny joke and they'll bust out laughing. And it's like, it's not disgenuine, but it's not entirely genuine either. They're amazingly off-putting.
I mean, yes, if there was a group of people that could transform into anything they wanted and had like weird emotional detachment, it would be very off-putting. And no one would trust anybody.
Yeah, I don't remember if that's the Eberron one, because I know they added them into the Mordenkainen book as well. I think I don't know if they changed them in Mordenkainen there, and now they're Fae creatures.
They are, yes.
They are, yeah. So it makes sense that they're Fae, because you're going back to, like, the Gaelic idea of changelings, which are fairies, right? They're Fae folk from the forest that would, like, take your children and take the form of them, and then they'd grow up, like, strange and do weird things. It makes sense. People were, like, annoyed about that. I
guess if you don't know the mythology, the fairy tale stuff of changelings, they'd see that as kind of odd.
Yeah, that's one of the things. That's one of those things where I'm more annoyed at the person who didn't do the research rather than the person who did. You know.
Yeah. Then it also gets into
why did you change it?
the.
It's like, 'cause they are. How do you know? It's like, because I looked it up in a book.
Yeah, but it also gets into that weird thing where it's like, you know, you have certain races that are not humanoid. So it's like, oh, now this one's a fae, and this one's a monstrosity, and this one's a, I don't know, undead, I'll just say. And it's like, oh no, now all these spells won't work on them because they're not humanoids. Oh, what are you gonna do about it? And it's like, it's not as annoying as some people make it out to be. At least for me, like it's that seems like more of a player's issue, where it's like, well, hey guys, I have this healing spell that'll heal all humanoids. Turns around the party full of non-humanoids, being the only humanoid. It's like, well, guess I'm cure wounding myself.
So this is the problem, right? They didn't add any. So there's no templates or specific rules for any individual species in the game, right?
Yeah.
So having player characters be anything other than humanoid adds a lot of funky, weird edge case scenarios, because they didn't put any specific rules to the other monster, or like to the other typings.
Right.
So they avoided it for a long time, because you could be in a situation where, oh, if this character's counts as undead, yeah, you can't use healing word on them. Or if this character's a fae, then hold person doesn't work on them, you know, because they didn't take the time to add in any specialty rules. So they made everyone humanoid. But now they've seemed to have sort of just given up on that one and said, I don't know, figure it out.
Yeah, I remember in one of the play tests, it's like when you pick a species or whatever, they're like, pick what type of creature are you? And it's like, the fuck? It's like, it's cool on one hand, because then you're like, oh, well, maybe if I pick, because I remember there was a streamer that did this on a live play where they're like, I'm going to play a Dampier, but instead of like trying to eat like blood or drink blood, I'm going to try and like, you know, suck the like mind, you know, from people like a mind flayer. I'll be like half mind flayer, half person, and I'll do the Baldur's Gate thing, you know. And it's like, oh, okay, that could be interesting. You have to go through several hoops, but they're not like difficult hoops. It's just, you know, it's more like on the player and the DM working creatively.
Yeah.
But
it's
or like no large races as well. That was like another.
That's
big
the same thing,
like,
right? They didn't really account. They didn't add any rules or special accounting for like size different stuff that much. So they didn't want to avoid the large race problem, especially because large races can cover more of the field and they have more reach and all these other weird issues come into play. And it's a funky like. I get it, but it does kind of feel like you should have pre-planned for this edge case stuff a little bit.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so they kind of did, right? Because they had that UA that came out where you were like, you have two labels, right? Like you are this thing and humanoid. You are this thing and humanoid.
Yeah.
Right, but there's no specialty rules for dual typing stuff either.
It was just
there. I think in that instance there didn't necessarily need to be. Sorry, Matt.
No, you're good.
They didn't necessarily need to be, because all they needed to do was say, no matter what you are, for the purposes of like these spells and whatnot, you are still human. And
but
they could have ended it there.
But that rule doesn't exist. That's the problem.
Well, that's what I'm saying is if you are both, then the GM looks and goes, so like the player goes, well, I'm a Fey dungeon master, I shouldn't be affected. And it's like, well, yes, but you are also a humanoid. You are still affected.
Right.
I think that's what they tried to do in the beginning, and then they're like, this is getting too complicated. Let's just stick with one word, and it's up to the DM. They'll figure it out. Like, fuck them.
Right,
like,
but the problem, that's what I'm saying. The problem is that what you just said, Isaiah, is essentially a specialty rule that doesn't exist in the game. Like, there's no paragraph anywhere in the book, as far as I'm aware, that says if something is dual typed, it counts as both types or anything like there's no rule guidance on that, like dual typing scenario. So if they just let players be dual typing, what's going to happen is the player's going to be like, I'm Fey, you can't use hold person. And the GM goes, but you're also humanoid. And they go, yeah, but I'm primarily Fey, so I don't think hold person's. And now you get into this circular argument situation because they didn't make any specialty rules for it.
Well, so what I will say is that the game, and I don't know where it's written, but I know they state it somewhere, where specifics will beat generalities, right? If it specifically calls out this thing, then that circumvents a generality. If you say, you know, Fae aren't affected by humanoids, or by humanoid pointing spells, and then if you say, if you have humanoid on that list, and this thing affects humanoids on that list, that is a specific, it's going to overpower the generality.
Right, but the game doesn't say that.
I think it does, is what I'm saying.
Doesn't.
I don't remember where, but I you know that for a fact.
It doesn't say anything about like if you are this and this, you know, one overcomes the other or anything. Like it has no.
But what I'm saying is that it does not need to say that because it says somewhere else that if something is called out specifically, you take that over a general understanding.
Right, but the thing that's called out specifically with like hold person doesn't work on something that isn't a humanoid. So
you can take
if
that
something is a humanoid but also not a humanoid at the same time, you could read that either direction. You could say, well, humanoid's in there, so you're a humanoid, or you could say, no, I'm two things, so I'm not a humanoid. You could argue both ways. Like
there was a big discussion
doesn't
a
help
while
you
ago.
out.
Yeah, there was a big discussion a while ago with like when the Reborn was coming out, or like if you wanted to play an undead character, and people were like, well, what if you're playing with a cleric and they turn undead? It's like, how does that work when turn undead works for CR monsters?
Exactly.
What does the undead player in your game do? And it's like, fuck if I know.
Exactly.
I mean, it's in that instance, because of what I'm saying, you would be turned because it specifically affects undead. You are a humanoid, but you are also undead, and you are turned. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
What I'm saying is, I think you could make an equally strong argument to say, no, my humanoidness overrides the fact that I have undead in there, so I'm not turned because I'm not pure undead. Like, I think you could argue equally on both sides. That's the problem. Because there's no specific rule that says how you should handle it, so you could argue in both directions.
Well, so, but this is what I'm saying. It does specifically say, if a rule is specifically called out, you take that over a generality. Turn undead, in this instance, specifically calls out that it turns things that are undead. You can take to mean the undead tag. If they have the undead tag or racial trait, whatever you want to call it, they are turned. Now, anyone can argue that. Of course, you can argue it, but that doesn't change the fact that the game specifically states this thing. You don't have to like it or agree with it, or you can argue other way, but it doesn't change the fact that that's what the game tells you.
But then you're also getting into the problem of the fact that the tag system for creature typing also doesn't really have any rules and isn't like turn undead. Actually, let me pull up the exact wording of turn undead. So
the main thing with turn undead, unfortunately, works with CR over.
That's the other problem, right? That's the other problem that you would have to deal with. But let's not even get into the CR part because that's a whole other thing. Yeah. At second level, you gain the ability to channel divine energy from your deity. using that energy to fuel magical effects. You start with 2 such effects: turn undead, an effect determined by your domain. Some domains, blah 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 blah. Okay, turn undead. As an action, you present your holy symbol and speak a prayer, censoring the undead. Each undead that can hear or see you within 30 feet must make a wisdom saving throw. If a creature fails its saving throw, it is turned for 1 minute or until it takes any damage. So it says each undead. It doesn't say a creature with the undead tag because there isn't really rules for the tag system. So because of 5e and its obsession with natural language, one person could read that and say, each undead, well, you have undead on your character sheet, ergo, it affects you. But the other person could say, but I'm not actually an undead because I'm half and half. So it doesn't affect, like, there's just, you just can't win because the game's not helping you out. Like, the game's leaving you hanging here and you have to figure it out on a case-by-case basis. That's why they didn't want to do it. I'm
agreeing someone can argue it, but page 6 of the player's handbook says,
I know what the specific
beach
rule
general.
Is. I don't think this is a specific beach general scenario.
No, I think it literally is, because it says, that said, many racial traits, class features, spells, magic items, monster abilities, and other game elements. They specifically bring up racial traits, which you can take to be undead. Anything that has to do with racial stuff, you can. Well, no, it's not even sort of. It's generally. It is sort of though.
Because it is because the creature tag system is not a game defined thing. This is why in 5e and its natural language bullshit sucks and annoys me, because it's not a game defined thing. So you could argue the natural language of it.
Well, the monster tag thing is, it's just labeling. That's the only real thing. It's just labeling.
Right, but
the creatures.
It's never called out in a mechanical fashion. Like, damage types have a paragraph dedicated to them, like, this is what damage types are for. Creature types don't. They're just kind of, they're there.
Well, they have one or two lines of like, what type of creature is this? Gives the example, like, aberrant creatures are from space,
right, but
or whatever.
It's like mostly just fluff information. Like, it doesn't really help you out. The point I'm saying is that they avoided this problem specifically because no one's going to agree on it, and you could argue in both directions, and the game did not set any ground rules from the get-go, but they have now ignored that. Basically they dropped the dual typing because they knew the arguing was going to be a problem. Is the conclusion I'm coming to. The thing I'm getting.
I agree that I don't disagree with what you're saying in that instance. Yes, I think they could have very easily just doubled down on what they said in the player's handbook and said anything that has to do with spells or abilities that affect at least one of your racial types is what affects it.
Right, but
you have something that affects humanoids.
They should have put it in like a Tasha's or something.
Right,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
Don't forget to supersede the. They should have.
We're working off interpretation here, right? Like, that's your interpretation of it, Isaiah. But not everyone's going to have the same interpretation, right? That's where we get into this whole rules as intended situation.
Which, yes, I understand, but I think it's quite difficult to misinterpret the way that they worded that thing at the beginning. I can't speak. At the start of the player's handbook. I find that quite difficult to misinterpret. You can choose not to want to interpret it that way. Surely, you can be like, well, I just disagree, so that's not how I read it. But it's pretty clear. It even says, exceptions to the rules are often minor. For instance, many adventurers don't have proficiency with longbows, but every wood elf does because of a racial trait. That trait creates a minor exception in the game. They specifically call out stuff like this.
I mean, yeah, but it's not. But it's not a template. I don't think
it needs to be. I don't think it needs to be.
I don't think the interpretation is as cut and dry as you're putting it.
I think more players probably need to go. More players need to go back and reread the player's handbook, and/or Wizards of the Coast probably should have put a
if
something to deal with this, like something to at least remind people, like, hey, you can like healing spells will work on a construct player. Turn undead won't affect your undead player. Like,
no. What you need to have is if you're going to give player characters different creature typings, what you need to have is a template system that specifically says what it means to be a part of that creature type. And it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. Like, it could just, like, you just need a little section that's like, here's all the creature types. You know, construct. If you're a construct, you cannot be healed by magical means. And you do not, like basically what I'm saying is there should be a section of the book that says, here's what being of these different creature types mean. And then on your character
little
sheet,
effects.
Yeah, like a list of effects. For example, undead, can't be healed, don't need to eat, drink, or sleep. And what's the other one that all, like, the undead stat blocks it? There's one other one I can't think of.
Poison immunity,
maybe
resistance, or something.
Yeah, whatever. It should be a little template. And then when you're going through your character creation and you pick the Dampier and it says you are undead, see the undead template for what that means. And you look at it and go, these are the specifics of what it means. Then you won't have any ambiguity issues, because as it is right now, you have ambiguity issues.
That'd be cool.
That's why they didn't want to do it. But again, I say they didn't want to do it, but now they are doing it. So I guess they said, fuck it. I don't know.
Well, so like there's the auto gnome in Spelljammer, and they literally have a thing where it's like you can be healed by magic even though you're a construct. And it's like, what the fuck? Right.
So that's the other thing. If you had a template, you wouldn't need that like specific little thing to be like, actually, this instead of, like, you wouldn't need it there. Or you could put it there if you wanted to put it.
But I think the player's handbook thing is way easier. It is a way easier option that, again, maybe because it's
to some
the 2014 player handbook, like people forget, they don't read, whatever.
I don't think it has anything to do with not reading. I think it's this natural language bullshit that makes things ambiguous. It always has. It's always been a frustration, but they committed to that bit.
You're making it out genuinely.
I mean, you can say it. You can say that, but I see people argue constantly about what the natural language means. I've seen, I mean, Jesus Christ, we ourselves have disagreed with Jawcraw's fucking interpretation of the natural language of it. Like,
yeah, well, that's just because he's a big nerd. No, okay.
But that's part of the problem. Like,
I know we've definitely disagreed,
that's where
but
it stems
I don't think
from.
It's something that needs like a total overhaul.
I'm not
like,
saying
a total overhaul would be cool,
I'm not
but
talking,
like it's not necessary.
But a total
like, the
overhaul
template thing,
of what?
Well, the template thing you're mentioning, like, it would be cool if they did that.
Well, that would be an addition. It wouldn't be an overhaul. It would just be a little extra specified information for creature types. That's all.
When I say overhaul, I meant like a shift from natural language. I don't necessarily think.
True.
Oh, I do think there should be I think this natural language bullshit is dumb, and we need to drop it. Yes. No,
because 4th edition didn't work for one of many reasons.
Well, 4th edition went too far in the other direction.
That's the thing.
There's a happy medium. There's a happy medium. I think 5e is too obsessed with the natural language, and 4th edition was too obsessed with doing everything purely on numbers and like bare bones information. There's a happy medium there, but 5e ain't that happy medium.
I mean, if you look at the later books, they're trying to do the happy medium.
It looks like they're trying
have one or
to
two sentences of like the flavor, and then they break it down in brackets, like in 4th edition, and how they've been doing it in the playtest.
Well, it looks like in the playtest, yes. In any of the currently published stuff, no.
No, they have. In the Book of Many Things. Yeah, in the Book of Many Things. Which, granted, that's the very last book that just fucking came out. But they are doing in there where you'll have like a magic item, I don't know, the Sword of Cards, whatever. It'll have one or two sentences, and then underneath that, it'll have in big bold letters an ability name, and then next to that, what the ability does. And they break it up by abilities like how 4th edition did.
Okay, so they're trying to find that.
They're trying to do it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Without totally giving up on the natural language completely, which is fine.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I just think they committed to it too hard initially.
All this to say, my favorite race is Drow, by the way.
Not surprising.
I mean, I forgot
I had a feeling.
we were even.
No, you're good. I was just like, man, this is really going on for a bit.
I mean, clearly me and Isaiah aren't getting anywhere, so like, yeah, move us on, Matt.
No, it's a good discussion. I'm just like, I should probably say this real quick before.
Drew, we don't want to have that. Was it the last time one of the last handbooks we had where I was like, we were an hour and a half in. I was like, oh wait, I think this is my quintessential.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Look. Yeah, I've gushed about Drow too much on this podcast already, but yeah, I like goth edgy elves.
Matt likes the kinky stuff. Don't let him tell you any different.
Yeah, dude. Not the goth albino elves, the Shatterkai. Although I do love the Shatterkai. They are pretty funny.
I love the Shatterkai so much.
Yeah, they are pretty
I liked
cool.
when the Shatterkai were like more hardcore hedonists. They kind of toned that back in 5e, unfortunately.
Yeah.
See, for me, I liked when the Shatterkai were like, we have no souls, so we're just so emotional about everything.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. They were more hardcore hedonists. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm. Yeah.
They were like crazy.
No, but I mean, being in a plane of shadow. And
all right, Isaiah just ignored me on that one. All right, good talk.
No, I'm listening.
He's listening.
You just didn't respond to me.
I did respond. I said, I did the fucking same thing.
I don't like that response. Respond to me with words.
Anyways, Josh, maybe you'll have an opinion on this one.
Oh God, I don't want to have an opinion, Matt.
Too bad.
I want to be a sheeple.
One of the many issues that, it's not really an issue, but I guess we're getting new players into 5e, getting into D&D right now. We're at the tail end of the D&D isms right now. It's too many races. There's just a lot. There's a lot of fucking races. I know, probably not as much as 4th edition. God, no,
I think we might have actually surpassed 4th edition at this point.
We done it, boys.
I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think.
But yeah, there's too many. There's too many. But like, even though there's too many races, is there something that we haven't hit yet? I don't know. What do you guys think we're missing? No, but Knolls. Yeah, obviously. To be honest, I've always thought about reflavoring like some other fucking like the Leonin or something as a Gnoll and just dealing with that.
You could, So
it wouldn't be the same.
You could do Leonin, just take away swap out their claws with a bite, and then swap out their daunting roar with rampage.
Well, you can do that, or you can leave the rampage in there, but flavor it like a Gnoll thing instead. And you're like, you lose rampage, but
I feel like
their frightening thing's pretty good.
It is, but rampage is such a key part of every Gnoll stat block that I feel like you need to keep it. Like every Gnoll has it. Shit, even Yunogu has it. So like, I feel like you can.
So,
true.
According to the D&D wiki, 4E and by the end of it had 55 races, which I think we are.
Oh, yeah, we're like at 130 some shit.
If we count,
we are not at. No. Sub races.
Oh, I guess if you count sub races,
just the base.
My bad.
You're not
at because elves have like several fucking tieflings have like 14.
That being said, I'm going to say some heinous shit. I actually don't think we have too many races, personally.
I think we do.
I like options.
Yeah, no, I like options too, but
Nope.
I don't know. I can see kind of like a new player like entering the space.
It's incredibly
and one of the big, it's very intimidating. Like one of the big things when they say you want to teach someone to play D&D, only show them player handbook like races, because it's 12 options. With the sub races is a little more, but like it's not that bad. I remember years ago when I actually visited my buddy Joe. I ran a one shot for him and his family, and I was like, all right, we're only using players handbook stuff, guys. I'm like, I'm gonna try and teach them how to play all that stuff. And then one player was like, are there like cat people races? Can I be a cat person? And I'm just like,
God damn it.
Fuck. All right. I mean, there is. I'm like, there is in fact a cat. All right, fine. I'll let you be a cat person. This is before the Leonin showed up.
Oh, well, now
so it was just a backseat. And then I forgot what another person was like.
Can I be an elephant?
So no, it wasn't an elf. I forgot what they said, and I was just like, okay, fine, you could be this thing, but that's it. All right, no more. We're just sticking to place.
Matt, can I be a child of a god angel person?
I think actually it was Joe. I think Joe's like, yeah, I'm gonna be an Asmar, Matt. I'm like, God damn it, Joe, fucking player handbook,
you fucker.
So here's the thing. I think it's perfectly valid to be like, okay, there are too many races for y'all to worry about, and then you give them just give them like, if you count sub races, you're at 232. And people are like, oh, that's a lot. I don't want to deal with that. You go, exactly. So I'm gonna give you the player's handbook stuff. You can look through that. There are other things. Try to keep it in here. And they're probably not going to keep it in there, and that's not an issue, right? If someone's like, can I be like I want to play an elf, but I want to be green, you go, well, okay, cool. So there are the Genasi. They are like elemental elves, and I know that's not exactly what they are, but you can,
I was saying, I stop calling them elves, they're not elves.
I mean, I still think they're kind of elfish, but it's fine. Anyway, you hit them with lay terms and say like, yes, they're like elemental elves, and they go, oh, that sounds kind of cool. What are the green ones? And you're like, oh, well, they're earth inspired, right? So they have, or I think they're air.
I think the air ones are green for some reason, or the water ones. I don't.
Either way, you hit them with the like, okay, well they can do this, this, and this, and they go, that sounds kind of cool. I'll do that. And you go, all right, cool. If someone's like, what about? Can I play like a dragon? It's like, what? Yes, you can. So the player's handbook has Dragonborn. Well, I was gonna say they have like player's handbook has Dragonborn. They go, okay. There is a thing called Kobold. You're like a dragon, but you're small. And they go, I don't want to be small. I'll be able to Dragonborn. You know, like, I think there's an equal chance of someone, you give them the option, they go, never mind, I don't really want that. And they'll go back to the player's handbook. You give them a base, but I think you should give them, obviously if you're like a stickler for like, no Gith. I don't know how to explain Gith in the setting, just no Gith. It's like, I want to play an alien. And you're like, no. Have it. I think there is absolutely like, let people go buck wild, but give them a small base and let them branch out from there. Because that's how we did it, right? I started playing in 2017, and there was not that many races. And then you sort of get drip fed it. I think you just have to create an artificial version of that with your players. And I don't think that's particularly difficult.
All right, so one thing, y'all are gonna hate this. The green Genasi are the water Genasi.
I knew it was the water. I was like sitting there like,
water Genasi are the green ones. I hate it.
Yeah, I don't know why green. Like, I don't think of green water.
I guess swampy boys, swampy fishy boys.
Water is not
swampy like, fishy boys.
You could have like, I don't know,
the
dark
air Genasi,
and then you can have like the air Genasi or blue or something. I don't know.
/ white.
Fucking water is blue.
It's ghost white.
Yeah, something like that, or gray, something like cloud color. I don't know. Fucking.
Well, they are like so they all have a range because I know like not all.
Well, the official art
are straight up red. The official art, yeah, but like I think in their expanded like little lore column in whatever book they're in, it tells you like what they can range.
Anyway,
read the books, people.
No. I think there's too many races. Because I think at the end of the day, it's not even so much about the player choice situation, although that can be a bit of a hurdle to have to deal with. And it can be the kind of thing where a player gets so intimidated, they get analysis paralysis and give up. That absolutely happens. But even if we ignore that problem, and even if you as a DM try to curtail that problem, which you might be able to a certain degree, I think the problem is just that when you keep making more and more and more and more, and you're like, more species. At a certain point, they're just gonna all start to get genericized and overlap each other and get kind of wishy-washy and weird, and they're gonna share a lot of things, and they're gonna get more and more boring at a certain point.
So I don't remember if it was with you guys.
Go ahead, man.
Okay. I don't remember if it was with you guys, but it was like when what were they called? The animal people from the playtest. I don't remember. I think actually, Josh, it was you and me. What are they? I don't remember what they're called. But like they're like the ancient like angel like deity like the Anubis and all that animal headed gods. And I remember.
Ardlings?
Ardlings, thank you. And I remember because other books, other like Cobalt Press, and I don't know if I'm blanking on another game system that does this, where they just have beast folk. And it's just animal, and it's basically here are your sub races. It's all fucking animals and stuff. And
this is what I was about to say.
Yeah.
This is gonna lead it. All right. This is the thing. And I know they're never gonna do this because if you do this, you can't sell as many books. But what I want, less races, and just give me rules to generate my own. That's what I want. Don't give me 60 bazillion jillion different races and add 3 more with every fucking stupid splat book. I'm sick and tired of that shit. It gets annoying. And like I said, eventually the various species you can introduce, they're going to start to get watered down. Give me a build your own system.
Kind of like
so
Aurora,
that I can make all the stupid cat and bird people I want.
Yeah, kind of like what from
Aurora.
Ghostfire Gaming, Aurora,
Yes,
the
yes,
dragon.
Matt,
Yeah, they
exactly.
have like a point system.
Literally that. That is exactly what I want. And they won't do it.
It does sound super interesting.
They won't do it.
Yeah, but no, they won't.
Because you can't sell as many books if you don't add stuff.
Well,
so they won't, but yes.
Well, Josh, this is where I bring in the joke from Tasha's where it's like, well, you can have their custom lineage. Whoa, build your own race. It's crazy. Do whatever you want as long as you have a +2 and you get a free feat. Yo, it's an original race. Look at that. Oh, we did it.
Matt.
Pat ourselves on the back.
Matt,
your hate of custom lineage is hilarious.
No,
fucking dumb.
No. I'm 100% with Matt on this one. Custom lineage keeps me up at night. I hate that shit so fucking much.
That's wild.
Like, it's lazy.
It's so fucking
it's
stupid.
human variant, but better. It's lazy to me.
It's
Like,
incredibly
that's my
lazy. It's incredibly lazy. It was the laziest. It was like, what if we did one little paragraph? Boop, all done.
Well, and the thing is, they got mad about it because I don't know if this was like official or not, but there was some people at Wizards of the Coast, like on Twitter and stuff, who were replying to people being like, well, why'd you ask us to make a customizable homebrew race for you?
Because we wanted something that wasn't
it's like,
shit.
well, because some people wanted that, not take a +2 and a free feat.
Yeah.
And I like the Z Bashu video he did on it because he does bring up a good point where it's like you can play with it and work it into making your own custom. Yeah, you can. But it's a lazy system. It's it's human variant with dark vision.
If it were me, I basically would have a big list of some nature that is all of the different various abilities from the various species over the years, shit like,
that's so much work.
Shit like the undeads. Why is it work? It'd be the same as like a feat list. I'd collect a list. I'm not saying I'm going to do it as a GM, but I'm saying if I were making a game, I would have a list of all these various different traits that a species could potentially have. And then the custom one would be pick from the list. You know what
they've never done
from the list or something like that.
They've never done a thing where it's like a feat system based on the different monsters, like creature typings. Exactly. Like that'd be cool if you took the aberrant feat and you get. I know they already have the telepath feat, but make it more mind flary.
Like imagine if you made a custom lineage, right? And you're like, I want to play. I'm just looking at the list of species, and this is what came to mind. This is a weird one. I want to play an undead lizard dragon man. Okay, cool.
Okay.
You take the vampiric bite ability from the Dampier and the fire breath ability from Dragonborn, and then you smush them together. You're undead lizard man. Like that's what I'm talking about.
Remember the half shadow dragon drow assassin guys I made for the 3-year game?
Yes.
Okay, nonsense. Yeah, like half the things I was looking at was like the half dragon stat block.
Yeah.
And Wizards even tell you can do this for like shadow dragons, like just switch out the damage type for like necrotic, and there you go. You made a and if you have a player who wants to play a half shadow dragon dragonborn, that's fine. Just switch out the damage necrotic. They're going to be fighting a lot of undead early levels anyways, so fuck them, let them do it.
Yeah.
It's not harming anybody.
That's basically, and side note, again, shout out to Aurora from Ghostfire Gaming. That's basically what Sean Merwin did, was that he was like, all right, all these different race abilities, big old list, pick and choose like you do with a feat, bang, boom, bang, make whatever the fuck you want.
I do want to try. I do want to look at Aurora.
I want to look at it too.
I might pick up the PDF at some point.
I know. I want it to.
Just to look at the racial stuff and like look at the lore and steal some stuff from my game.
Same.
Because I am interested in seeing how that worked, but I'm not like. I think that I kind of want that to be a side option. Like I want that as like we have how races and lineages and all that shit are handled in 5e, or here's the custom origin, custom lineage thing.
Well, I think,
and then here's like a whole couple like pages of like how to do it if you want to do a custom thing, and you get kind of the best of both worlds. It's like
I think you can have a staple of base races, like everything in the player's handbook and maybe some of the stuff in like Tasha's. Like I think you could have a staple of like core base races, and then have a chapter that's like, or not a whole chapter, but a page or two that's here's the mechanic for designing your own. That's what I would want. Like I'm fine with having core, have orcs, have elves, have dwarves, the usual shit as the core set. And also because you can use them as examples for how you could build another race. You can look at them as a template to base your ideas off of. But yeah, give me a system to build out my own so I can make all the weird cat motherfucker and bird people and sphinxikins and fucking tree people and knoll men's and fucking
half tree, half dragon,
lizard butt fuckers and whatever shit else.
I feel like I have to say this for the record. I actually don't like custom lineage either. It's just funny how much Matt hates it.
I know. I do amp up the hate a little too much, but like
I don't fuck that shit.
Speaking of, yeah. Oh, sorry. What were you? My bad.
No, I was thinking of potential. I think the issue is that they gave it to players and not dungeon masters.
I think the issue is they were lazy.
Specific thing. Well, so like I agree with what you're saying with the like. They should have given us like section. I know, so I don't think they should have done that. I agree with what you're saying. They should have given us a list of all previous racial features, and still give us more races because those I want more of those features. Those features are interesting. Yeah. Take them from actual monster stats and give them to players. So you can have an ever-growing library of traits to give your home, like the DM's home races. And you leave it with the DMs because if the player wants to make like an own custom race, like, well, I want to be like a Leonin but sneaky. Like I want to be like Scar from Lion King rather than Mufasa, right? And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna break out my handy dandy custom lineage sheet, and well, what if we give you this? And the player's like, I don't think that fits. And they go, okay, so I'll give you this thing that you wanted, but you're gonna have to take a minus to this. Like, leave it with the DM, not the players.
Doesn't that go into the Mother May I thing that you guys don't like?
No, because it's not specific. Maybe what I used was a bad example, but it's for DMs who want to make custom races. They're like, well, there's no Leonin in my setting, but like there are different versions of Tabaxi, and you might want to take like one of the Leonin features. It's not really Mother May I. It's just helping a DM flush out their own setting. And if a player wants to do it, and that DM hasn't created anything yet, then you guys work together. And it's not really, it should never be a Mother May I, but it also should not be a player going, well, I want to take this and this and this and this. And it's like, well,
right.
You took those things because they're fucking busted.
Well, it is a little Mother May I because you do have to get that permission at the end of the day. There's no avoiding that.
Yes.
So it is kind of.
There's no way to entirely get past that. But the game is like D&D is about dialogue anyway, so there's no real way of getting past that, no matter what.
Like I'm also a very big fan of reflavoring certain things. Like I think in the 3-year game, I told you for a little bit, Joe, one of his other characters was the lizard folk druid. Instead of doing the lizard folk bite thing, he asked if he's like, can we switch to like because he chose like a gecko for his art. He's like, can I like have like a tongue and just kind of swap the bite if like for that? Like
a tongue slap?
Yeah, a tongue slap. I'm like, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, why not?
I kind of love that.
So like, I think reflavoring it can go so fucking far, and it's such an easy solution for DMs, and there's not a lot of change you have to make. If you want to go further than that, then yeah, by all means. But I think a lot of people skip over reflavoring shit because I don't know, whatever reason, they're like, no, I want to do all the work, I want to do this shit, and it's like, or, bruh, easier option, and it's it's more fun.
So that is absolutely a thing. That's not even a joke. Like, I have spoken to many, like a game designer and DM in 5e, where it's like, well, you can use this thing that the game gives you, and they're literally like, no, why would I use that? I'll just make it myself.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean like, oh, what about this monster stat? It's like, hey, so the game had, like, I literally spoke to somebody who was trying to do their own version of initiative. And I was like, the game has initiative. And they said to me, and I don't know what, I'm not going to say verbatim, but what I remember them basically being is like, why would I use the game's initiative? I want to use my own. It's like,
fair, but also why? Like, I mean, I don't know the context, I don't know the reasoning, but like, because I do know some people who have swapped out the 5e initiative system for either their own one they found online, or I think there is an alternative version in the player's handbook or the DMG. I don't remember. Yeah,
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
I think to me, the thing that befuddled me was like, of course I'm not going to use 5es. It's like, why are you playing 5e then? Like,
I don't really understand.
If you have so little faith in their design mentality, why are you even playing the game?
Like, I don't really understand the mentality of people hating on the 5e initiative system. Like, I've heard others and they're not bad, but it's like, I don't get why it's so, like, everyone just shits on 5e initiative.
It's just because it's fairly basic and not super interesting.
Yeah, but does it have to be? It's just initiative. It's just seeing who goes first.
There are other games that have done more interesting things with initiative, but, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but other games have done interesting things. It just kind of depends.
Okay.
I also, side note, I want to point out, Isaiah, you're like, oh, well, still add more races to the game so I can have more racial traits. You can just add the racial traits to the game themselves. You don't need to add the races necessarily. You could just add the traits as you would add feats in a book.
You could, for sure.
If you had because if you had a build your own system already there, you could just slap the traits in additional books.
You could, yeah, but I would still prefer the race to come with it. It just feels like a more rounded piece of material that I'm getting.
Yeah.
I want them to go, here's this thing, and that too. Like, you give me this thing, right? Give me a whole product, and then give me rules on how to break that product down and put it where I want to put it. Don't just give me. It's like a. It's if you buy a jigsaw puzzle, right? Show me what the thing looks like on the cover art. Don't just give me assorted pieces.
Yeah.
True.
Actually,
interesting one.
Side note: when you guys when you make a character, do you pick your race first or do you pick your class first?
Class.
Race.
Okay. Because I flip flop, and I know that in the player's handbook they specifically say, when making a character, step 1, pick a race. Step 2, pick a class. Like.
So, I don't know. You guys probably do this too. I typically don't. If someone's like, hey, I'm running a game, I've already got like 4 characters in my head. Because the main system we use, I think at some point I have an image of a character and then it's just a mix and match.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I have ideas for characters, but I usually come up with the premise of the character based on the class, because 5e, the class defines more of what a character is.
Yeah, because the race could be like your background stuff, and then like personality, what you're about. Then class is your job.
Race is just, I don't know. Race is just extra tidbits. Necessarily the most, like, it's just not the most defining feature. Not with the way 5e is anyway.
Interesting for me, because it's like typically I will I obviously I have an internal logic to this. that I can't really explain, but like I probably, if I want to make a character, I'm not gonna do like a gnome barbarian. Just that you just like, you can do it if you want. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It just doesn't follow my internal logic. So like I go, for me, if I go, oh, I want to make a barbarian. Yeah, I think I'd have to pick the race first. I'm like, I want barbarian.
The idea is like barbarian, big, strong. All right.
But
if
you're saying I want to play a barbarian, then you have selected the class first already.
Yes, but what I was going to say is like, so I'll go, okay, I want to play barbarian. It's like gnome. No, never mind that. I won't play barbarian. Okay, what if I do like gnome ranger? Like, no, half elf. Half elf ranger? You know, like, yeah, so I guess it's closer to what Matt says. It's sort of, it's like you have 2 decks of cards and you're just sort of, or 2 dials and you're spinning top and bottom.
Yeah. Because it changes every character because, like with Matingo, I had the character idea first and then it's like, okay, well, from the one Reddit post where he's like, well, it's got to be, you know, a vengeance paladin swashbuckler. And I'm like, okay, well, I have my classes picked out. And they just chose Tabaxi just because, you know, Tabaxis are fun. I think with Loki specifically because I'm like, oh, well, he's definitely an ice giant. So I guess Goliath are the closest fucking things I'll get to in Miami. And then it took forever for me to pick a class with him.
Yeah, that was, I mean, Loki tough because shapeshifter, so druid, but
yeah, or like you could play a changeling. I think I just kind of reflavored because in Icewind Dale, Goliaths are all over the fucking place. So I'm like, oh, and they gave him cold resistance in that book. So I'm like, oh, well, naturally it would make sense that he's like a giant because, you know, he's giant in mythology and shit. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, what else? Oh, do you guys, another just random shit with all the race stuff. I kind of hate how every fucking race now has dark vision.
Yeah.
And it's like, why bother with darkness rules? Like, I get it's like, oh, if you have dark vision, you can't fucking see things clearly. You still have kind of a penalty. And it's like,
it's true.
Bro, I play on a fucking virtual tabletop. Like, I fucking, like, yeah, even if I have like the fog of war shit on, the players walk through, that's a lot of like steps and like shit I gotta go through to set that up.
Side note, I would like if you on the virtual tabletop, if a token is set with dark vision, you could make it so they see everything in black and white. Be fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like instead, it's like you have the little like light and get like the kind of tinted areas of the edges of where they have their vision and shit, and it's like, you know, that helps, but again, that's a lot of fucking work.
It's not that much. Basically,
a lot of work for me.
You set it up once, Matt. You set up dark vision for a token once.
No, but then for the dungeons, then I have to set up all the lighting and everything for the dungeons, and then it's like,
why is that? What?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the dark vision itself, though.
Yeah, it does. Because you have to set up the walls and everything, and doors.
Lighting,
Yes, but if your players didn't have dark vision, you'd still have to do all that.
Josh, I'm playing in a magic. Everyone has dark vision.
But I understand that, Matt. But if the players didn't have dark vision, you still have to set up all the lighting stuff because they can still carry light sources. So you have to do the dynamic lighting. If you're doing the dynamic lighting, you have to do it either way.
Not necessarily.
What? If you want the dynamic lighting to function properly on the tabletop, you have to use it whether characters have dark vision or not.
What I'm saying is that you don't necessarily need dynamic lighting. You can do the old-fashioned.
No, you don't need it. But if I want it to use it,
if you want it, you're gonna have to interact.
You're using it either way.
Yes, what I'm saying is you could easily just.
So Matt was pointing fingers at dark vision being the problem when it is in fact not the problem.
Nope, I'm gonna keep pointing at dark vision.
Okay, well, you could be wrong. Anyway, yes, too many characters have dark vision. Nope, just gonna ignore you, Matt. Yes, too many creatures have dark vision.
Rude.
And the reason that too many creatures have dark vision is because low light vision used to exist, but they decided to take low light vision out of the game So a lot of species that would have had low light vision, like tabaxi, for example, got dark vision instead.
Yeah.
And that's why too many things have dark vision. Also, why don't cats in 5e have dark vision?
Yeah. Because like it's like you see dark vision, like you specific range, you see darkness as if it was dim light. And then you're like, okay, what does dim light mean? And it's
God, the light rules are so fucking all over the place.
Yeah, it's like dim light is usually boundary between light and a bright light like a torch, and darkness, nothing. There's no like disadvantage on seeing or anything.
Well,
that's
dim
only
light
if you're
gives,
heavily obscured.
Well, no, dim light gives, doesn't it give disadvantage on perception?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it here under the dim light rules.
I believe that is the only. It's under vision and light. I think it's.
Oh, lightly obscured. That okay? So sorry, I'm using a website that gives me. All right, it creates a lightly obscured area. Yeah. Then you go to what does lightly obscured mean?
What does lightly obscured mean?
Lightly obscured
means disadvantage on perception checks.
Okay. So
that's all.
Even with dark vision, technically players should have disadvantage on perception checks.
Yes. The problem is
if a player runs off ahead and they see an orc hiding in the shadows with a net ready to fucking catch you, and you're like, I see the bad guy, and you're like, fucking.
Well, the argument would be they would have to make a perception check at disadvantage against the orc's stealth.
Yep.
Also, you could potentially argue the orc has advantage, maybe? Well, no. Well, no, because dim light doesn't give that. So no, the orc would have normal stealth, but the player would have disadvantage on perception.
Yeah, but this is my special homebrew orcs that are ninja assassins. So
if you have ninja assassin orcs, they might
quadruple advantage.
They might have double advantage. They might have advantage in dim light, maybe. Sure, yeah. But yes, that's why dark vision is just all over the goddamn place, is because everything that should have had dim light vision instead just swapped out for dark vision because they took dim light vision just out of the game completely. For some reason, I do not know why. It was very silly.
Yeah. Like I think in
I also think dark vision should probably be shrunk down to 30 feet, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I think that's the other problem is you can see. That's the other thing.
60 feet's a lot.
60 feet's a lot, but also I think a lot of the time GMs kind of forget that, dark vision has a limit.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they treat dark vision like you can see flawlessly in the dark and at any distance, but neither of those things are true.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think in like the new player, or not the new player's handbook, sorry, in one of the play tests, I think they gave Dragonborn like dark vision, and they're just like, yeah, fuck it, everything's gonna get dark vision now. And it's like, awesome.
Well, Dragonborn actually should have dark vision though.
Well, no, they should have like blind sensors. Like, I mean, yeah, dragons also had dark, yeah, but like, I think giving them blind sense or something would be cooler.
It would be, but blind sense is pretty strong. It does break
the monotony.
Yeah, but you don't have to make it like too big. Like make it like 10 feet or something.
It just says that like you can still fail on perception checks. Blind sense just means that you like in total darkness, you can't get snuck up on.
Yeah, like if you make the range short, like 5 feet or 10 feet.
If it's like 10 feet, it's not that bad, yo.
That's not bad. No, then it's like if the goblin is trying to stealth up to you to stab you your butt cheeks, then it's like, okay, I'll know that, and then I can fucking harden my defenses. But if it's an arrow, then it's like, well, fucking shot out of luck, kid. You entered the dark cave without seeing all the drow, fucking with their arrows knocked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could shrink it down. Yeah, it depends on how far the blind sense is. If it's 60 feet of blind sense, it's a bit much.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, too many things have dark.
Yeah.
Or perhaps it's more accurate to say the light rules need a looking at, or vision, like vision rules need a taking a look at, just kind of in general.
Yeah, I would say vision, everything that has to do with vision, lighting, and stealth needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also
the invisibility spell. Jesus Christ, Jeremy.
What's wrong with the invisibility spell?
It's so... Because the invisibility spell...
If you say natural wording...
Well, no, so the natural language is in fact part of the problem here. So the invisibility. Oh God, I'm trying to even remember what it is. So, an invisible creature is impossible to see without the aid of magic or a special sense. For the purpose of hiding, the creature is heavily obscured.
Yeah.
The creature's location can be detected by any noise it makes or tracks it leaves. Attack rolls against the creature have disadvantage, and the creature's attack rolls have advantage.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, the problem comes from the heavily obscured part.
Is heavily obscured. A creature heavily obscured in the area effectively suffers from the blinded condition. All right, let's go to the blinded condition.
Yeah.
You automatically fail any ability check which requires sight. You have disadvantage on attack rolls. Attack rolls against you have advantage. Okay.
So, yeah. So
a character would have disadvantage on trying to see, like, find you, basically, if they're using their eyesight. But if they're like,
the problem, basically the way it works is that a creature cannot try to detect you using sight. They can only try to detect you using hearing. And if they try to detect you even using hearing,
no, I know, but it's the advantage disadvantage is where things get weird. I forget exactly what it is, because it's like, so a creature suffers from heavily obscured. The creature is blinded, automatically fails ability checks. Attack rolls against the creature have advantage, and the creature's attack has something to do with that part. Attack rolls.
Is it a thing where something gives someone advantage, another thing gives that same person disadvantage, and they just counter out into?
But it's more than that. It's more. I can't remember now, but there's like a weird, complicated. Things get very wonky with invisibility. Yeah. So attack rolls against the creature have advantage, and the creature's attack rolls have disadvantage. Is it the attacker who's invisible would technically also have disadvantage? Is that what the problem? Damn, now I wish I could remember. Yeah. People have brought up there's a lot of really weird rulings that come from invisibility rules as written. And now, of course, I can't remember. I started talking shit, and now... Yeah,
I was about to say.
Damn it! I wish I could remember.
Well, while you're remembering...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Kind of going back a little bit on what we were talking about with the race stuff. What do you guys think of, like, the idea kind of from Van Richten's guide, where you have a race that can become another race or kind of evolves into a thing? Because I really like it. I thought it was okay in Van Richten's guide. The whole, like, you become Dampier, Undead, or the Hex Blood. But I'm gonna keep plugging, Ghostfire Gaming, their Grim Hollow books. They have a whole system of different lineage of, like, do I want to be an aberrant creature? Do I want to be a lich? Do I want to be a lycanthrope? And as you level up in the game, it's almost like you have your race is another class, kind of like in Pathfinder, where, like, you level up, you pick, like, little mini feats for your race, and you pick pick mini feats for your class, kind of like that system. And I thought that was, like, very interesting and really cool. Like, as a lich, like, you eventually, like, as you level up, you gain resistance to necrotic and poison damage. You get, like, special, like, lich blast attacks. When you hit, like, higher levels, you build a phylactery, and basically, like, you can't die. Like, just neat things. I wish D&D did more of, like, a race could evolve and become a stronger version of that race, or, you become a Dampier, or what does that mean if you're a Dragonborn Dampier, or if you're
We have to backtrack for a second here. Yeah. I found the thing. I found what the weird, goofy ruling was. So it has to do with sea invisibility, the spell. So Jeremy Crawford said, if you're invisible via the invisibility spell or greater invisibility spell, and a creature has blind sight, true sight, or see invisibility cast upon it, they can see you, but you still have advantage to attack, and they still have disadvantage to attack you. The support for this argument can be found in spells like Fairy Fire, which specify it removes the benefits of invisibility.
Wait, true sight doesn't remove the benefits of invisibility?
Yes, that's where it got. Yes, that's where, according to Jawcraw, that's where it gets weird.
Dumb.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
How is see invisibility?
I don't even.
Check right now. For the duration, you see invisible creatures and objects as if they were visible. You can see into the ethereal plane.
So the argument,
ghostly and translucent. So I guess that's why. It's because I can see a person there.
But Isaiah, true sight,
not.
True sight also follows the same ruling. True sight.
Weird.
So if a creature has true sight and they are attacking an invisible creature, they still have disadvantage on that attack. That's what Jeremy Crawford's saying.
Yeah, I mean that's wacky. I'm not gonna hold you on that one.
That's what I mean. Like, shit like that is just absolutely goofy nonsense. I would never in a million years rule it that way at my table personally, but yeah. Yeah. What were you saying about the Dampier and the Hexblood and all that?
Oh, I just want more races to, like, I thought it'd be cool, like, if they evolve or change, kind of like,
species
like
that augment other species.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they had a fun idea with the Reborn, the Hexblood, and the Dampier, but they do feel a little half-baked. Like, you could definitely do more there. It's also weird the way they're worded, because I'm still slightly confused if I'm a Dampier elf, do I still get my elf traits, or do I get some of my elf traits? They're worded a little strange.
So I think they even say specifically, unless it's proficiencies, like a skill proficiency or whatever, you basically lose all the traits from your previous race.
Now I have to pull it up because I remember reading it one time and being like, that's confusing. Hold on. So creature type.
Oh, it's the Reborn. That I keep calling them undead. It's Reborn.
Reborn, yes.
Yeah. Ancestral legacy. You replace a race with this lineage. You can keep the following elements: any skill proficiencies you gain from your previous race, climbing speed, flying speed, swimming speed. That's it. So, like, if you were a lizard folk,
if you don't keep any of those elements, or you choose this. Oh, this is the part. Or you choose if you don't keep any of those elements, or you choose the lineage at character creation, you gain proficiency in 2 skills you trade. I guess. I don't know. Weirdly worded, I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
Speaking of annoying rules, I know, Isaiah, unfortunately, you haven't played Baldur's Gate yet, but how do you, I guess just mostly for Josh, because how do you like how they handle humans? Like, where humans instead, they get, what is it? They get proficiency in, like, pikes and spears and shit. They get armor and shield proficiencies. They get the one skill for free. I don't know what it means when it says carrying capacity is increased. Is that like... That's not like the big races. No, not like that. But, like, is it kind of like the...
That's what it means, though. What are you confused about? That's what it means.
Well, no, because so normal 5e, it's the whole, like, you count as one size larger for certain races like Minotaurs or Goliaths.
Oh,
where it's like
I assume it's just a multiplier.
Yeah.
I think he was asking, is it a literal weight increase, or are you just treated like a bigger creature?
Well, I don't think Baldur's Gate has any rules that adhere to creature sizes. So, fairly certain it's just a literal direct increase on how much that character can carry.
But I don't know. I guess what do you guys think about, like, because I know I'm not a fan. I know you guys aren't a fan of, like, the regular human +1 to all stats. I'm not a fan of human variant, but how do you feel about this other version where it's like...
It's fine, I guess.
I'd have to see it.
I
haven't seen it, so
it's literally just they get proficiency with, like, pikes, glaives, and shields, so you can give Gale... Like, you can give Gale the wizard a shield, a shield because he's a human. It's called civilian militia. They get pikes, spears, halberds, glaives, light armor, and shields. They get proficiency in those. And then they get a proficiency in a skill of your choosing, and their carrying capacity is increased by a quarter. That's it. It's whatever. I mean, it's fine. It's kind of boring. It's whatever. It's the same problems that humans have in a lot of fantasy role-playing games where how do you make humans interesting? And everyone goes,
yes,
they're really versatile, I guess.
It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be real here. I don't
whatever.
like this at all. I actually quite like Variant Human personally, but
Well, they didn't want to hand out feats at level 1. They did not hand out feats at level 1 in Baldur's Gate, so they didn't want to have one race who could start with a feat and then everyone else who couldn't. And also it's a video game, so you have to balance it differently. So be a little silly.
I get it.
For them to be like, this one race gets this thing that's really strong and nobody else does.
Yeah.
So they gave him something else, but I mean, it's whatever. It's basic. It does the job. It's kind of funny.
I just feel like
it's kind of funny that the wizard can use a shield and armor.
Yeah.
it is likely nothing that I would need in a race. It's like, if I wanted any of these proficiencies, they would most likely be in the class that I'm taking. So it's just sort of like a nothing to me. So
well, again,
kind of wish I just had variant. I know why we don't have variant. I get it, but that doesn't mean I like it any more.
Well, again, it becomes relevant for certain things.
I get it. I just
or sorcerer.
Sorcerer.
Yeah, if you want to build the melee sorcerer that everybody wants.
It's not completely irrelevant, but it's not particularly exciting. But also, like, it's fine. I don't. Races need to be that crazy.
I do think the playtest is going in a better direction with.
It's
humans.
a little. It feels a little weird to be like all humans, civilian militia. That feels a little odd. It's like only. Are we saying only humans make militias? I don't.
We're just so good at making war,
Yeah.
Josh.
Also, why do they get an increase in carrying capacity? I don't.
I guess the idea is that everyone in Faerun at some point has to be conscripted into a civilian militia.
But couldn't you make that argument for any of the races?
You could, but I guess that's what they're saying, that humans do that a lot specifically.
Or maybe it's the Baldur's Gate humans, like around. Hey, if you live around Baldur's Gate, you go into the army or something, like the Flaming Fists or some shit.
Yes.
Potentially, yeah.
I'm still slightly perplexed about the carrying capacity one.
Yeah.
I think it's weird that it's only polearm. Like, I get it, civil militia, you're going to get a spear. I think they should have just, if that's the case, genuinely, just give them everything that the soldier background gives you. It gives you basically the same thing, except it's just all martial weapons. Like,
once again, Isaiah says, give them more, give them everything, give everyone everything.
In this instance, yes, absolutely. Because
who needs balance?
Like, so this is
fuck balance.
Well,
no, because this is that thing where it's like pikes, spears, halberds, glaives. Well, okay, cool. Halberds and glaives, as far as I'm aware, even in Baldur's Gate, do the same fucking thing anyway. So that's just a complete throwaway. You can throw a spear. You can't throw a pike. Pikes have longer range. Cool. At that point, you have a duplicate, one thing that's pretty universally useful, and one thing that's really situationally useful. Just give them martial weapons.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe you have them pick, instead of like, here's a couple of martial weapons, why not just have it, you get to pick a martial weapon or two that you're proficient with, and then light armor and shields, and you're good.
Side note: the
so
soldier,
it's not like
the soldier background does not give you proficiency in martial weapons.
Right? Yeah, I think it's fighters just get proficiency in everything.
Fighters do. The soldier background gives you proficiency in one type of gaming set and vehicles land.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the fucking land vehicle thing.
So I don't know where you're pulling that one from.
They're It probably is fighters, or I know like dwarves specifically.
fighters
They're
get
like
everything.
all dwarves are proficient with axes and hammers, and it's like, of course they are. But
Well, so that's kind of what I mean, though, right? Is like they're pulling on a very specific kind of civil militia, but like, why aren't axes in there? Every farmer knows how to swing an axe. Most, even back then, machetes were a thing, and they've been a thing for a very long time. It gets into a weird space.
I mean, Isaiah, you know that there's a difference between a cutting axe and an axe for fighting.
Still does the same damage when you bury it into somebody's skull.
I mean, yeah, but that doesn't the same. It's because I know how to cut wood with a wood cutting axe doesn't mean I know how to swing like a battle axe.
it could also be like a farmer thing, because
for
like
example,
they're all too.
not.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, well, you do know, for example, how to not hit yourself with that axe.
Sorta, in a very specific scenario.
It could also be because the whole militia thing, like all these are two-handed weapons. So it could be like, you know, lots of spears and pikes and shit used in war. Also, two-handed weapons are very similar to farming instruments, so maybe it's like humans are.
Well, it's literally the
basically
concept of when you form a militia. You know, back in the day, like the Romans did this, for example, and the Greeks, you'd give the farmer a shield and a spear and say, keep the pointy end at the direction of the bad guy. You don't really need to know how to fight very well.
Yeah, it's because the spear is an easy to make, because it's literally just a sharpened stick, easy to maintain, easy to use weapon. That's basically it. But you don't get a whole lot with that in Baldur's Gate, again, considering that halberds and glaives are the same weapon. So throw an axe and a sword, like a short sword in there. Fuck it.
Yeah, I'm glad they're changing a lot of the weapon types.
Just give humans every weapon.
I like that they're giving in the playtest like a lot of like they're changing up a lot of the damage type, the weapon type, trying to make them more distinct. The weapon options are are helping.
I don't think they're changing many of the damage. I think
aren't they changing some?
Not that I'm aware of. I think the main thing they're doing is adding the weapon art or the weapon masteries.
Oh, I thought they.
I don't
There
think
are some. Yeah, maybe I'm misremembering.
I don't remember damage types changing, but also it wouldn't really matter if damage types are changing because damage types don't mean shit in 5e anyway. So
that being said, it would feel better for me though, genuinely, straight up. Like I like the idea that short swords do piercing and scimitars do slashing. Does it really affect anything? Not really, but it does feel better.
It's so weird too because after. Like watching Zorro, Princess Bride and shit, I get that the rapier is a piercing weapon and fencing, but like every movie I've seen, people are fucking slashing the shit out of each other with the shit like a sword.
Every movie you've seen, people are using it incorrectly.
Yeah, pretty much. And like, people are fighting like they're using small swords, which had a lot more emphasis on like quick wrist-based slashes and strikes, whereas rapier is a very like if you watch rapier fights, it's a very front and back, sort of forward, backward motion.
If you ever actually do fencing, there's not a lot of swinging. You don't swing
that's why.
Much.
That's what I kind of imagine. Like the D&D person who's using a rapier is basically doing the Zorro like slashing, like oh god, and just fucking fighting. They're not doing the professionally trained like.
Well, the idea is that the D&D character would be the professionally trained fencer.
True. I don't know. In my mind, it's more fun when they're not.
Yeah, I think everyone sort of imagines the like the Pirates of the Caribbean cut and thrust sort of like like back and forth tit for tat thing, which that is a thing. It's just
not with rapiers.
Not with rapiers. I mean, sabers should absolutely be a weapon in the game. They're called scimitars, but like make it a D8. Yeah. Fuck you, make it a D8.
I mean, that is
make a saber and just call it a D8.
That is why I specified with Zigzags that he was using a side sword.
Side sword is a sort of civilianized mix between not civilianized. They use man-at-arms use them, but they're like a mix between an arming sword and a rapier. They're also called cut and thrust swords for the same reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is a side thing. I think I mentioned this in the equipment episode. I want more weapons, just straight up. It's like, well, you can fucking re-flavor a katana as a longsword. I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to use it the same way. Let's not kid ourselves here. Come on.
You don't want more weapons though, because the way 5e works, it's just going to be more copies of the same shit.
I'm surprised in the Dragonlance book they came out with a new weapon for it's like the slingshot.
Oh yeah.
Piercing weapon. Yeah. And it's a cool because
the Atlatl? Yeah.
No,
yeah. It's like I love the idea of dual like weapons. You know, Darth Maul with his fucking dual lightsabers. I love the one from Eberron, the
double-bladed scimitar.
Yeah.
Oh
I love
my god,
shit.
that thing is so cool.
It's so
I love
fucking
that thing.
cool. And it has a specific feat for it too. So it's even cooler. And it's like I want more stuff like I don't know. I always liked the idea of what's it? I think Dragon Age 2, the bladed staff, where it's a wizard staff with a sword on the other end of it. I know Dragon Age 2 is supposedly the worst of the Dragon Age. Yeah. Like supposedly that's like the worst Dragon Age game, but I always saw that weapon. I was like, that's the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
What you were talking about, Matt, is the Hoopak. The Hoopak is a sturdy stick with a sling on one end and a pointed tip on the other end. So it is both a spear and a sling.
Yeah,
they spelled that?
Like that's cool. Like that's a cool idea.
Hoopak.
It's from the Dragonlance adventure. It's specifically, I think it's a Kender weapon too. If I'm not mistaken.
It's a spear with a slingshot.
It's a sling staff. Yeah.
But yeah, like I like. If we're not gonna get like a bunch of new weapons, I would like something like hybrid weapons, where it's like take two weapons, put them together, and they make some sort of unique newish thing.
I would like new weapons if I thought they were gonna do anything interesting with it, but I don't have faith in that. So I don't like whatever about it.
I just say fuck it. Like, so I don't know. They have done some interesting things with them. Like the Equa is great because it's the only bladed simple weapon that you can throw, and it's only got a throw rate of 10 feet, but you can throw that bitch.
Is that the one from Tomb of Annihilation?
Yeah, the Equa. It's the short fighting spear. I love that thing.
Yeah,
because again, simple weapon, and it's throwable, and it's a D8. It is crazy strong for what it is. No one uses it, which is sad. Like, this is the weird thing.
Because it's not known, because it's like it's from a campaign module first, and then
I guess. Like the double-bladed scimitar is another one where it's really good as a weapon.
Yeah.
Like, and this is what it's something. I know this is not an equipment episode, but I laugh. People are like, "No, you can't make a longsword finesse. It breaks the game." No, it really doesn't, because you can just make a feat that lets you use finesse longswords, because the double-bladed scimitar uses finesse too, and that gives you 3 attacks per round, no matter what, if you have that feat.
Yeah, well, scimitars are normally finesse as well, and then there is what is it? I forgot what the lightsaber magic item, which is basically a long sword with finesse. Sunblade? Maybe Sunblade? Yeah. There's a Sunblade, or there's another like Sunblade like sword that basically it has a finesse property. It does radiant damage. So you can sneak attack with it, which is insane. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna sneak attack you with a lightsaber. It's the funniest fucking thing in the world.
It's like, great. I love it.
The Sunblade, the Sunblade is finesse, yeah.
Oh shit, yeah, all right. So that's fucking hilarious to me. Like, nothing personnel, kid. Fucking stab somebody.
Sunblade is a finesse longsword.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, so okay, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, I think they could very easily do a lot of really interesting shit with a lot of their weapons.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I mentioned too with the 3. Again, I wish there was more. But like the 3 feats specifically for bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Those are so fucking good. They're like, if I play a martial character, I'm gonna take one of those feats regardless. They're just that good. But I do wish, kind of like, I know in the player handbook they have the elemental adapt feat, which I don't remember if it adds damage, or I think it lets you reroll ones on elemental damage. Like something more flavorful or something cooler that you can do with, the other magic damage types, because there's fucking 12 of them. Like, I don't know, like if I shoot a magic missile and deal force damage with it, I don't know, I can knock a guy back or some shit. Like you can do different things. Like you get someone inflicted with burning, for if you shoot them with a fire spell, or they're slowed for a round if you deal cold damage. You know, some little tidbit things you can
This
do.
is a weird discussion on species.
Right? Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that does play into, right? Like, people are like, something variant human feat, but like, I think I'm not the only one who said this. I think just everyone should get a feat at level 1. And like, I know they're doing that now, and 1D&D's nuts, yeah, whatever. But like,
Yeah, it comes with the background instead of your race lineage.
I personally I would be happy genuinely if they put like whatever you want to call it, racial feats, whatever it is, for every class, and just be like, you can pick either the like melee, like the melee ones, like the Crusher, Slasher, Piercer, or these. And then you can have like, you can do what they're doing now, right? Where you have like a small list. So it's like, elves can take the elf racial ones, or a couple magic, like a couple generic, a couple magic. Gnomes can take their racial ones, a couple like generic, couple magic. Well,
I think
just
with
do that across
those,
the board.
I think in one of the play tests, because they're going to break up level 1 feats to level 4 feats.
Yeah.
I think anything that gives an ability score is now considered a level 4 feat, which a majority of the racial feats are level 4 feats now. Because they all, I think maybe except for 1 or 2, or off the top of my head, I don't remember. Most of them give a +1 bonus to some stat. So now they're level 4 feats.
Yeah, that's dumb as fuck.
I don't think they're going to be doing level 8 feats, from what I remember. That'd be cool if they did, but I don't think they want to go so far down the feat tier list. I think Jawcraw mentioned that a while ago too.
I don't
because it's untenable,
them
right? Because it's like
making an official statement that they weren't going to do.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. It gets really weirdly noodly because a lot of games end at like, for example, level 8, and it's like, why do I have to be level 8 to get sharpshooter? It's like, because it's like, well, I don't like that fucking reasoning.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's really dumb that they made racial feats a level 4 thing. I think it's weird that your feral tiefling just grows fucking wings randomly at level 4.
Yeah, again, this isn't like official yet, but if you were to use the backwards compatibility, now they would technically be level 4 feats.
Yeah, Isaiah, what you're talking about, the only reason the racial feats were a quote-unquote level 4 thing is because you just didn't get your first feat rules as written until level 4. It's not that they specifically designed the racial feats with any kind of level lock, it's just that's when you get your first feat. But what they're doing with what they're doing with the rules refresh is that they are specifically giving leveled feats now. So it's not the same thing. You guys are talking about two separate things.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All that to say, give every race a feat at level 1. Fuck it.
They did.
They're doing it now.
They're giving all characters a feat at level 1. Remember?
Yeah.
Look, I'm talking to the
backgrounds. Give a feat.
Yes, I know. I'm not talking about the rules. I'm talking about the DMs.
Well, the rules are gonna. It's the DM.
Yeah, but there's gonna be people who are like, no, I just don't want them to have it. Like, no, fuck it. Just give it to them. Who cares? Fuck it. It's not gonna be as bad as you think. I promise. It's okay. The feats won't hurt you. They can't.
I don't really know who you're attacking in this. Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know
someone
who
feels
hurts
attacked,
you, but okay.
Nobody. But if someone does feel attacked, good. I am attacking.
Damn. But on that note, I guess we'll end things off with my last little quirky question. How do you guys feel about limiting races for certain campaigns?
This was not the question to end on, Matt. This could be
Probably
an
not.
hour-long discussion. All of it.
Try and sum it up in a sentence or two, Josh, if you can.
No,
like Dragonlance.
No, you know what, Isaiah? Isaiah? Have your fun. I'm not even gonna. Go ahead, bud.
I mean, I feel like I feel like I'm being called out.
Well, because I know we don't agree on this, so you go first.
Yeah, so who cares?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
go
no,
first.
I say fuck it. I let someone play what they want to play, man. Like, it's not that big a deal. And if you're really against it, like straight up, your players are they're the PCs. You can do the fucking I think it's the Matt Colville with the Mercer wanting to be a Dragonborn and be like, well, you are literally the only Dragonborn.
Yeah.
But it goes both ways, right? It does. It goes both ways. Because you can't be the only Dragonborn and expect to be treated fairly or nicely or any of these things. You are in some way being kind of a hassle. You have to expect, and not overly so, right? There is a sweet spot of you're gonna be haranguing it, you're gonna get harangued. It is what it is.
Were you the one who... Oh, sorry. No, I didn't mean to. I was gonna say, were you the one who told the story about the Dragonborn who, he's the only Dragonborn in his land, went to a bar, two guys mentioned something to like, oh, fucking, scale skin, what are you doing here? And then the player's like, hey man, I feel really uncomfortable with the racism in the game going on, so I'm just gonna dip out. And it's like, but I told you that people were gonna think you're a weirdo because you're playing a giant lizard man. We talked about this. No,
that wasn't me. Yeah, no, that was not me. No.
Oh shit, I'm trying. I gotta remember who I taught. Maybe this was a green text video instead.
It seems like a green text video.
Yeah.
Again, like you can do it I have been on the I've been on the end of like being discriminated against in a game to the point where it did not feel like it was a part of the game. I've been there for sure.
Yeah.
But that just comes from the fact that it was like never ending. There was like never a moment where a person could be a decent human being and they were just gripped by their racism. That's when it's like way too much. But
fucking Elden Ring, it's like, oh, no maidens. It was like, yeah, you fucking know I have no maidens. Okay.
Yeah, there's like a healthy amount, right? If you go to like an upper crust aristocracy place and they're like, we don't serve your kind here, and you're like, whoa, that's a little ridiculous. But if you go
I'll have you know, I fucking killed a dragon. I have a whole dragon horde in my bag of holding. What do you have?
Yeah.
Nothing.
And even then, people who are bad people can be easily bribed. Where it's like, oh, you don't want this diamond I got from a dragon's sword? And they're like,
ooh, a dragon's sword, you say?
Come inside, sir. No, I'm sorry for my transgression. Would you like some tea?
That's what
there's ways to get around stuff like that. And if you're really against it, like really, you're like, nope, no dwarves in my campaign. Just don't let it. It's not going to happen. I think it is what it is, and I think players, I get it. You had an idea. It may have been a damn good idea, but maybe next time. The world will not end because you didn't get to play a dwarf in the fantasy game. Yeah. Much like all things, it's got to go both ways. You got to give and you got to take. If the DM's like, no one uses the fucking crusher feat, and you're like, okay, DM, I really want to play a dwarf, and I also want the crusher feat, so can we like meet halfway? The game's about diplomacy, fam. If you can't be diplomatic, what's the point?
I wish more people read the section in Eberron. I'm going to try and find it. It's too late. Just read the first chapter of Eberron Rising from Last Word. In there, it literally talks about, listen, here are the player's handbook races, and then the Eberron races like Warforged and Changelings and Kalishtar, the fucking weird, fucking not angel people. Like, it's like, hey, maybe it's like even though this book says there are no Kenku or there are no Goliaths, there are plenty of space in this world that you can add them in. It is okay. And then he gives you like, ideas of like here where you can put like a race here or there. But he's like, do what you want. It's your campaign. Fuck it. Doesn't matter. I wish more people kind of would read that section and be like, yeah, no, it is my campaign. Yeah, I can do with it whatever I want.
Doing whatever you want means you can also tell players no.
True. Even that. Yeah. Even if, and if you want to do that, that's fine too.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, like I said, be diplomatic about it.
Yeah. Don't just be like, I hate dwarves, so no dwarves allowed. It's like, come up with something. Like, I don't know. Say, do the fucking Elder Scrolls. Yeah, there are no dwarves because years ago some bad shit happened and now they all disappeared for a magical reason. maybe they travel forth in the future. Who knows? That's for you to decide.
I don't think most GMs are denying races simply because me no likey. I think most of the time it's because they have an idea for their setting and a particular race just doesn't work or fit. So they say, no, you can't play it because I have a very particular idea. And I've said this a million times, but if a player's really, really, really deeply invested in playing a particular species or a particular class, maybe, I mean, classes, I think, restricting classes, I think you have a harder argument because A, there's less of them, and B, the idea of the classes are much more genericized and can be recontextualized in lots of ways. But if a player is particularly set on playing a particular species, that was a dumb sentence. If a player is deeply set on playing a particular species, and you as the GM say, no, there are no Dragonborn in my setting, for example, and the player's like, I really want to play a Dragonborn, and then you say, okay, why are you so attached to playing a Dragonborn? Why are you so attached that you're arguing with me about this? Because if you're arguing with me, it must mean you have a good reason for wanting to play the thing. And the person goes, I really love the Dragon Breath ability. I think it's super sick, and I want the elemental resistance. Okay, what if you play a human who is a genetically modified person who has weird dragon powers? Or maybe you play a sorcerer and your draconic heritage comes through in the Dragon Breath and the weird elemental resistance or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Get down to why they want to play a particular species. And at the end of the day, if a GM is like, no, I don't want that species there because I have a very particular thing about my world, for example, there are no Warforged because that form of technology just doesn't work for the situation I have come up with. Maybe it's some sort of post-apocalypse situation where the Warforged idea would just not have lasted. Trust your GM that they're doing it for the sake of they have an interesting idea. Don't assume they're doing it to be an asshole.
Yeah, you have to ask them and talk to them.
Assume they're doing it because they have a cool idea or they have something compelling that they're trying to do. And then go, okay, so if you're trying to do this, but I want to do this, what if I do this and this instead? Okay, that might work. Like, you can have the conversation about it, like, you know, retooling a Warforged to be like, what if I'm like a weird super soldier human? That could work.
Yeah.
Who, like, doesn't need to sleep and is immune to poison.
Yeah, that could work. Part of reflavoring. That's basically just like a reflavoring.
You can find, if they are deeply attached to a particular thing, you can figure it out. And also, if you're like, no, I want to play a robot man, and I as the GM am saying no robot men, then you need to give me, I need you to give me a reason, or not a reason. I need you to give me an interesting narrative for why you're the robot man. Don't just be like, because robot man cool, because I'm going to tell you no. But if you come up with a really interesting story idea or a hook for in which the character can fit into the setting, where initially I had said no, but you had such a cool idea that I'm like, all right, I could do something with that. I will make that fit in. So you're like, you know, I want to play a Warforged. There's no Warforged. Okay, what if I'm essentially this particular, you mentioned this one crazy wizard guy who rules a kingdom, right? Yes, I did. Okay, what if I'm one of his weird golem experiments that got away? Okay, now we're talking. Now I could do something with that. As opposed to just, I want to play cool robot, let me play cool robot. Why? Because I said so. All right, well then fuck you. No.
Try and build a story.
Like, converse and be willing.
If you can work it into the setting that I have presented to you, now we've gone from, no, you're not allowed to, oh, this is actually probably more interesting than whatever you were thinking before, because you're working within constraints. And at the end of the day, I've said this a million times, working within constraints often makes more interesting products. Or more interesting, I'm going to say more interesting art, because products are the devil. We don't like the word products here.
Were you
more interesting art.
No, I'm just agreeing with Josh. Have a dialogue. Be willing to discuss it, and don't be so firm in your opinion to be unable to budge no matter what.
Yeah, both sides.
Like, I was pretty, when I did my game, I was, because, you know, Hellscapes only has 3 races, right? You have a normal person, which is a tribal, a mutant, which in case you're basically an X-Man, and a bestial, which is you're basically a furry. And I know my players. I know you. I know all of you very well.
Let's all be furry so we can fuck each other.
Yes, half of them. Well, no, but half of them did want to play bestials, and I was like, all right, this is gonna get ridiculous. Bestials are not that common. Y'all can play
one or two.
So I said there was one straight up bestial, and then one person. I was like, if you want to have a second one, technically, you can do a mutant who has an animal-like trait, but that is not what they are. They are treated differently in the setting for several different reasons. Not like behaviorally, like, oh, I'm going to treat you better, but the world affects you differently. And the players went with that, and they got what they wanted. It's just, you present rules and allow for some wiggle room within those rules, and most players are totally fine. Yeah,
those are constraints. Those are constraints you made, and those constraints made the players have to think about it in a more complex way than they would have probably done before.
I'm agreeing. Yeah. So yeah, give them constraints, and then but be willing to wiggle. Don't be like nope, no, and no. It's like it's not very collaborative. Like you got to help. Come on, work them here.
That being said. With some of the 5e races, I mean, if your GM is like, I'm sorry, but I just fucking hate Aragon. There's some pretty goofy ones out there. So there's a couple of them where I'm like, I mean, I guess.
Listen, the bunny boys are timeless.
I don't know. If you're playing in Faerun, it's Harengon, they're Fae, right?
Basically.
Y'all seen the fucking walking rabbit? I was like, no. Shut the fuck up, bro. You're drunk. Like, no.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing the Harengon, you're probably the only Harengon around.
With a sword.
Yeah.
He kicked some dude in the mouth. And they're like, get the fuck out of here. And then later on that day, they see the walking rabbit with a sword, and they're like, oh!
The walking rabbit just did some martial arts on a man. Bro, what?
Yeah.
Did you eat some mushrooms in the woods? What are you
He's fighting all the bandits in town. Do we cheer him on?
Do we like the walking rabbit? I don't know. I hope so. I think he's on our team.
Like, well, the blacksmith is a giant, talking bird. So, I mean, I guess we're cool with animal people.
Bird people, that's fine. Rabbit people, I draw the line.
I don't know about that.
Too far. Yeah, rabbit people are too far.
There are some that I like, hi, me, the gun guy, guns in 5e. There are some where even I'm like, if not every campaign has a Warforged, I get it.
There's a couple
specifically Warforged. But if you want to make, like, most games, golems are pretty fantasy. So if you want to be just an iron golem and use the stats for Warforged, I'd like, that seems pretty fair.
I'm not gonna lie. There are some 5e races that are just, they're a little bit much for me to swallow. Fairies, Paragons, Aarakocra to a certain degree.
What about the GIF?
The GIF?
The hippo people.
Oh, the
no,
GIF?
Not the GIF. GIF.
GIF. GIF or Githa?
No, GIF.
With
hippos.
With
The hippos are too much. Basically, all of the Spelljammer races, I'm gonna say no by default unless you give me a good reason. Like, Astral Elves, Autonones, GIF, Hadazi, Plasmoids, and Thri-kreen are fucking bananas.
See, the Thri-kreen I can see.
I can kind of see the
because they're kind of giant bug people.
Yeah, they're weird bug monsters.
So it's like,
I think I don't know. See, I'm someone where it's like, I want to play a GIF, and it's like, no. It's like, well, okay, but hear me out. Think about it. Spelljammer exists, and the DM's like, yeah, It's like, GIF are Spelljammers, and they're like, yeah. It's like, what if my character crashed his ship and is stuck here now? And is like, my God, why are you a bunch of hillbillies? Where's my magic elevators? Like,
but then I have to, then I have to concede that the Spelljammers are real in my setting, which I might not want to do. Like I might not want to have that be a thing in my, like, the whole Astral Sea situation. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot. It's a lot to swallow.
Yeah.
They also get firearm mastery. Let's not forget about that one.
They do. I mean. Yeah, but again, guns in 5e. Hashtag guns in 5e.
Yeah, but what the GIF have are not the normal gun situation. The GIF have, like, late like 1800s like muskets.
Yeah, they have
shit.
they have like repeater pistol, like Remingtons. They've got like lever action. So no, I get it.
Yeah.
But the idea that they're like, if you hand them a musket and they're like, God, is this where you hillbillies are at in terms of technology? Fuck.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I feel like
I don't know. I just love the idea of a GIF being stuck on Faerun being like, God, what I wouldn't give for a shower. And everyone's like, what's a shower? And he's just screaming internally.
I mean, sure. I mean, the auto gnome, I think, is that's an easy reflavor of just a golem again. Plasmoid, I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I think
sentient.
Plasmoid's pretty easy for me.
Gelatinous
it's just
cube given sentience, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
A wizard experimented on a gelatinous cube for a wife, and then the Plasmoid grew booba. Like, it's fine.
That's I don't know, man. If you're inviting Plasmoid into your game, though, it's gonna get weird.
It's only a matter of time. I'm gonna play a Plasmoid. It's gonna happen, and I'm gonna do.
It's a lot.
Everything that you think I would do with a Plasmoid. Yeah, just.
I mean, I would say I'm okay with astral elves, but I'm just gonna say you're just an elf, and just give you the astral elf stuff. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's fair to say, right? Because elves are descendants of Eladrin, which are Fey elves. So it's like, hey, bud, where are you? It's like, I don't know. Hey, like Wizard Professor Man, what am I? It's like, well, you're definitely not an Eladrin. I don't know where the hell you're from. And you're like, oh. Does that mean I'm adopted? Yes.
I wouldn't even necessarily do that. I would just be like, you're an elf, but you can get all the traits of the astral elf, and I don't know, maybe you look a little bit weirder, but like you're just an elf for the most part, I mean, I don't
keep the star eyes or whatever.
Yeah. The Hadazee, I can't. The Hadazee are too much. I can't with the monkey people. They're too much.
Return to monkey.
They're too much. I can't.
Maybe let's not joke about the Hadazee. They're a little touchy subject.
They are, but the Owlin are also a lot for. I don't know why. Okay.
Okay, no. How are you going to be weird about the Owlin when the Aarakocra exists?
I know.
Or Kenku.
I know. I don't know what it is about Owlin specifically that feel weird to me. I can't explain it.
All right. I think any of the animal person races, I'm pretty much like me personally, as far as I'm running a game, I can't justify, right, in my own head. I can't be like, well, it makes total sense that a Kenku exists, but like an owl person, absolutely not. Or like a hippo person, absolutely not. It feels weird to me, It's like, why do these animals ascend to the level of sentience and these don't? That's like almost weirdly reverse problematic in a way.
It's just the setting. I don't know. It's just the setting of the Forgotten Realms has just become so much like everything in the kitchen sink soup fantasy that like it's so much. It's a degree where I'm just like, this is just a lot, like they just throw everything in there. And I'm like, guys, have a vision.
I don't know.
Have a specific vision. And they're
I think
no,
it's totally fair. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, right? Because the Forgotten Realms only ever focuses on the Sword Coast, except for that one time where they went to Chult, right? The planet is...
Goes to Saltmarsh, they actually went to... what was the setting that Gary made? Fuck. The old school one. Greyhawk, yeah.
All right, but that's cool. So, like, you do go other places, but, like, the planet is so big...
I know, but like, I just don't like, I don't know. I just don't like the world building of the Forgotten Realms. I hate that it's just fucking everything goes fantasy. Like it's just so much. It's just so much.
Like that being said, like I will agree with you insofar as there are some where I'm like, let's probably not have these in like a typical setting. Like I love the Kalishtar, but they are. And you can do like
they're very
just a
specific.
person with two. Yeah, like I've played a setting agnostic Kalishtar where you're just a human being with two souls, right? Like I sort of did it as two people who were best friends died at the same time, and they basically combined into a revenant that looks like both people but one person, and like people are uncomfortable.
Read part 9, 8.
Part 8.
I actually have not read part 8. Hilariously.
Oh. Well, because that is basically what happens.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I know it is. But yeah, so like
he's got 4 balls.
He does have 4 balls. I've read I've played as a Kalishtar, and even I'm like, yeah, these would be rough to just insert. I think the Githyanki are. Yep. Yeah, no, they are. They absolutely are. Like, there's a very good reason why Lae'zel is very specific in the way that she is and acts, because she is, in all meanings of the word, an alien.
Oh no, yeah. She's. I don't even know. I don't even think you realize that yet. She is treated like an alien, 100%.
Yeah, but she is. She's literally a tall green.
Yes, she is.
She is tall and lanky and green. Like,
yes,
people are gonna look at her and be like, "Are you just a tall goblin or a skinny orc?" And she's like, "What the fuck are either of those?"
She's a tall white, but they just hue shifted her a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you guys know your alien lore,
yeah. But they do treat her differently. I think that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I think as the general rule, to sum all this up, you can have 99% of the races in there, but you as the player have to do the work for it. I'm straight up agreeing with Josh. You have to either do the work for it, and don't be surprised when there are no other Gith Zerai hanging out with you. You can't go home.
Yes. Yeah.
You are stranded in the Forgotten Realms, if that's where you're playing, or wherever. Like, there are concessions that you need to make, and it can be a little annoying for sure. I'm not going to pretend that it isn't, but that's what the dialogue is, right? That's where the concessions go. You want this thing that isn't allowed normally, sure, but you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. Straight up,
I just. Yeah, I mean, for me, I have to come to the concession that 5e is not gonna do the thing I want from a fantasy setting. So if I'm going to play it, I have to just deal with that and take it as it comes. Right?
He's pulling a Thanos. He's doing a Thanos. Fine, I'll do it myself.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, if I'm making my own fantasy, I'm going to be much more tightly controlled about types of like creatures and stuff that show up. But 5e is not that, and I have to just sort of accept that. But it's hard sometimes. That's really what I'm getting at. I have to accept that there's bunny people, but that doesn't mean I like the bunny people.
I think so. You talked about this before, or maybe it was you. It was someone else. I saw somebody do it. I'm not gonna, I don't know, but they were like, if you have a party, right? Let's say your party is 4 people. You can separate the races, and then this is a thing in the game where you can some of the races are separated into how likely they will be seen in a town, right?
Oh yeah, rarities of races.
It's like
I did.
Yeah, so it's like, do you want to play a Harengon? Okay, that's in the literally 1 in a million.
You're the only one
of
around.
you can play a Harengon. Oh, you want to play a Tiefling? All right, well that's 1 in 10. So 2 people can play Tieflings. Elves, you can have as many elves as you want. Humans, as many is that are people gonna agree with that en masse? Maybe not, but again, it's about the dialogue. You're allowed to do it, but as much as I love the Goon Squad of playing no standard races, I think that's hilarious. Come on, guys.
It's funny because even my group right now, 2 players are actually players' handbook races, which is funny as shit. Because there's so many fucking options, and Strixhaven's such a multiverse school where anything goes.
Yeah, it's funny. Strixhaven.
And I got a high elf and a halfling.
Strixhaven is a type of game where I'd be like, I don't know, basically anything goes.
Yeah,
that's weird magic college
mentality.
It's really funny because I'm known for playing the weird stuff. But let it be said that I have as many humans, straight up Steve McDudemans and Stacy McLadymans, as I have weird things. I love playing humans. straight up, I do. I love playing humans. I love the character. It's not even like out of their comfort zone. I think it's really cool and interesting and poetic to play a human who are kind of seen as boring and kind of blank slate, and get to interact with characters who have really cool, rich, like, lore that the DM made for them and all this other stuff. Or like, I love the Freyren thing, right? Like the elf in love with the human. It's like, I'm gonna die. You're not gonna die for a long time. I love that. That's so amazing and tragic. Obviously you get the really funny stuff, like, an orc marrying a gnome, and you're like, huh.
Yeah.
You like, what is it? Holga, what is her? Was he a gnome or he was a gnome, right? He wasn't a halfling.
I think he was. I don't know if they specified actually, but yeah.
Yeah, but Brad, like the Holga and Bradley Coopers, I love that shit. Yeah. Gnomes live to like 450. That's funny and depressing for so many reasons.
Well, it's the same energy as the Krogans and the Asari boning in Mass Effect. It's the same kind of shit where you're like, yeah, interesting. Or all the Solarians, because Solarians die at like 40. And Asari lives...
I thought Solarians died earlier than that. I thought they only lived to like 20.
They lived to like 40, but Asari lived to like 1,000. So.
Oh, yeah, well, because isn't Samara like over 500?
Like, 500 like something. Yeah. Well, no, she's not that ancient. I mean, she's a matriarch, but she's like 500 something. She's like halfway through. She's 50, basically.
What the fuck?
Yeah, Asari lived like 1,000 years. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny because everyone's like, oh, Isaiah's gonna play the wacky woohoo shit. I'm like, I have a lot of humans, thank you. My first 2 characters were humans. Shit, Luca was a human. He was a mystic, but he was still a human.
I mean, I can't give you any shit necessarily about playing the funny guy because I gave you carte blanche permission to play Warforged. So,
yeah.
All right. Yeah, but I guess we'll wrap it up with that. Josh, you want to hit him with the outro plug?
No.
Okay. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter.
I was gonna let that rock. See how long that went.
That's funny.
Good pickup.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. Tune
Eat
in
your
next week where we
read the Bible and take your vitamins or whatever the fuck Hulk Hogan used to say.
Sure. Oh, what's the thing from fucking Rango? Or it's like brush your hair. What is it? Brush your teeth, comb your hair, and burn everything but Shakespeare.
Jesus.
All right.
That movie's a gem. I love that fucking movie so much.
It's a good fucking movie.
All right.
Oh, now I'm gonna play a cowboy lizard folk. It's my next character.
You absolutely should. I'm so down for this idea. Please.
That'd be great. I'll put it to the list of all my other characters.
Yeah, dude. All right.
Bye-bye.